Oh, tell us when we're ready. Are we rolling?
Do I need to be closer to my mic?
Yes, you do.
Well, that is officially on the pod, babe.
Seriously?
That is how we're beginning the pod.
I thought you had an arm. Didn't you have an arm recently?
Only Jared.
Only Jared gets
Only
the
Only
arm.
Jared gets
Wow.
We don't-
Oh, wait, I thought you had an arm too. Wait a second. First
He
off,
also
I have
has
nothing
like
to
a
do with
fancy
that.
little.
I'm never coming on this pod again.
Only
Jared
Jared.
gets all the good stuff.
Hey, all I
And then-
know, Tom knows who he works with, okay? Because I did not know that was the case, okay?
Yeah.
Sure
But
did.
Tom, big ups. That's
I
a great
thought-
job, by the way, okay?
I thought you both had arms, and Sheila
You
and
are
I.
employed another day,
We're like
okay?
the peasants
Tomorrow,
of this podcast.
yes,
He has a
yes.
fancy
we're
little
going
boss too.
First off, I mean, that might be the advantage. Look at that. Look how close you guys are with your mic.
You can be versatile, but
There's a bond.
this is like we're 26 years old on YouTube.
There's
you know,
a
this
bond.
style here.
We're
you know?
26. Are you gaming? Are you streaming right now?
This is what they do, so I do look more hip than I usually do.
Well,
doing
doesn't take
this.
much.
There we go.
Yeah, that doesn't take much. That doesn't
All right, well, everybody, welcome to this episode of Today with Jared James. I am joined by a special guest. We're doing this a little bit differently here than we usually do. I'm not going to say last names. We're going to leave that alone. But Byron and Sheila, welcome to the pod.
Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah.
for having
Thanks
us.
for finally having us.
I
mean,
know.
I think
Well-
you've been on my pod a couple times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I interviewed you years ago,
Yeah.
and then now
Employed
finally.
my son.
Yeah, absolutely.
my
I've
son.
had your son on my pod. I had to do a lot.
Don't think that this is any more than me feeling pressure.
You know, I had to.
You know?
Yeah.
I had to say hello to your wife in an airport when she just walked past me, didn't recognize me.
Let's
yeah.
hold
All
on.
these
Hold
things
on. Hold
to
on.
get on the pod. And finally,
Hold on.
Sure.
You may identify as male, but you are the mother of lies. 'Cause- so let's tell the story here. You guys are on a flight,
Oh, jeez.
and
I love
my
how he's telling the story.
my
and
wife
he
is
wasn't even
texting
on
me.
the flight.
Well, no,
Yeah,
you're
it
texting
was
me and you're
not.
going, I think Byron's on the flight, and I'm like, babe,
Yeah.
he's not on the flight. And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, we were flying out of Fort Myers. We surprised a friend for a birthday, and I'm like, Naples, I think is like 45 minutes, and then I'm like, it might be, and then she goes, yeah, it's 100%, but he doesn't know me. Or
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that.
No, I said he didn't recognize me. 100% it's him. I took a photo and I never sent it to you. And I'm like,
I was
it
gonna
is
say
him.
you
I know
didn't
it's
send
him.
me a photo.
And
Yeah.
then I
She's
awkwardly
randomly
said hi
taking
to
photos
you,
of you.
I don't.
Didn't notice at all.
He had two games going at the same time. You were watching the Broncos.
Sunday
and
afternoon.
what? It was Sunday's Broncos game, and then you're
I
watching
had
other
the
game.
Sunday ticket on my iPad because I have the Sunday ticket locked into their Wi-Fi, and then whatever was going on there,
Yeah.
whatever the live local on the top of the screen
Yeah.
was. Two screens.
You know
on-
who?
on
You
a
know who's the
plane.
winner in this whole story?
The Broncos.
His wife,
Oh.
because he didn't have a third game going where a pretty girl said hi to him, and rather than him engaging in conversation, he just looked away.
He
My
acted
wife's
like
not
he
here.
did
I
not
cannot
know.
talk to you. And he just looked away.
In my defense, he had a baseball cap on, and
I
that
feel like that puts me in disguise.
that is a disguise.
It is.
She didn't
At
have a
the gym, I
mustache and
do it.
glasses on. What are you
Yeah,
talking
still-
about
No,
here?
but I'm also like not there with Jared.
Yeah.
So I just want to be clear. You don't see her unless she's with her husband. What
Yeah.
year is this?
Anyways,
What year is
I know,
There
this?
you
yeah.
go.
Okay.
So I
Does
did
Does that
say
make
hi.
that makes me
God, I'm
I
gonna
said
get you
hi
canceled.
because you were awkwardly standing in front of me because the stewardess person, whatever, was going by. I'm like,
Flight
hi.
attendant.
And he looked at me and he said hi. But he did not know. He had no idea who I was.
Oh, so maybe you were saying
And I'm
hi
like,
to people you shouldn't have been saying
Jared's
hi to.
wife.
Well, I got the hi. I'm like, hi. Yeah, hi.
Hi.
I was just like, okay, hi.
I'm like,
It was a little awkward of a hi, because I'm like, okay, hi. I don't know what to
hello.
go with
Just
next.
staring.
Well,
Like
now,
Jared's
now you
like-
guys know the key to get on the pod. Just ignore my wife.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, God,
we're,
never
I'm like,
getting you
I'm
on
like,
here.
babe. Clearly, it's just in a location where he doesn't recognize. You know, like he's not looking for you. He's not. Yeah, I'm like, he knows who you are.
I usually don't take Sunday flights too. I was a little out of my element there, but
Yeah. Were you watching
yeah.
the Broncos? Did I hear that?
It was the
guess.
That's my
Broncos
team.
game.
that is your team.
That's my team. Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately.
I mean, they've been playing good lately.
All right. They've
I
been
think they were
playing
getting
all right.
slapped around. I think I am recalling this.
Yeah, yeah. Now you remember. Okay.
I thought
They're
they
3
won.
and 2. I'm just saying. Could easily be 4 and 1, which really all we're doing is hurting our draft position because we're not
Oh,
going
gosh.
anywhere.
Yeah,
That's the
there's-
truth. So,
When you fly too much, there's nothing worse than
well, we were just
trying to figure
talking
out how to
about
pass
this.
the time if you're not working.
Sheila just jumped on an airline, thought happy thoughts, and they roll down the windows. You flap your arms, and you made it
Yeah,
in. Like,
In one piece.
I wasn't sure how that was going to go.
okay. Now, by the way,
But,
before we
yeah.
get going, Sheila is the CEO of Mosaik. Who, if you've been at
Welcome.
any of my events, if you've been at the Advance, if you've been watching this podcast, like you know that big supporter. So mosaik.io.
Do we not have the intro? Like,
I don't know.
who-
I mean, I
okay.
guess we could. That's a good idea, actually.
There'll be a link below, I'm sure. For
Okay, so you know what? You are correct.
Yes.
So here we go.
Thompson.
Okay.
I mean, like, we're assuming that everyone knows,
Sheila is
as
the
they
founder of Mosaik,
Yes.
Mosaik.io. Byron is a couple different things, but one of the co-founders of BAM, now BAM.com.
Yep.
And also runs, is it One Team?
One team
One
here. Actually, I was just saying, we have a satellite office, which I don't go to very often, but it's right around the corner from here on State.
Oh, really?
Right across
Okay.
from Tavern on State.
Yeah.
From where we're sitting.
So-
Giving away our location a little bit.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm never here, so it's all
Where we're
good.
sitting.
So we, it's true. It's actually
It's
true.
also on the website. So
Yeah,
it's not a
yeah. I
big
mean,
deal.
you can come by and say hello to everybody, but yeah, it's.
This is guarded
Yeah.
territory.
territory. You can't get in here, so I had to wait outside in the freezing cold for 15 minutes just
That
to
is
get
true.
in
They almost
myself.
didn't let you in after a background
Yeah,
check.
I
That's what
know.
heard.
It's hard to get in.
That's what I heard. Yeah, yeah. So no, we're making a day of it today, right? I know the joke in your office is that we always make a day of it, but we are doing this, and then we're going to Grayson's soccer game, and then we are going to go get some din din
Yeah.
at a nice place. And I heard that it's restaurant week, which
Is that true?
I'm not thrilled about.
It could hurt
Because
us.
now they
That
do a
is?
fixed menu. Because like I know what I want at the restaurant we're going to, and there's some stuff I want you to.
Is that a New Haven
experience.
thing?
It's New
I
Haven
didn't know
and
that.
Milford's doing it too. There's a few different places.
Oh, really?
So a lot of times when they do that, they do fixed menus, and it's just kind of like, I want what I want. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, it's not happening in Madison. I went to Bar Boucher on
Oh, they're not doing restaurant week?
Wednesday night. They were not. No.
Well, we'll see how they respond when I introduce them to my friend Washington.
Yeah, sure.
I had a little tap going.
Back to Sheila.
Does anyone get that
I saw
dollar?
that.
I know.
Nobody got
Watch
that?
it. You're gonna
Nobody got that dollar
tip the
joke?
100.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's, how about now, sir?
Oh, he got it.
I
He
got it now.
He got it now.
Maybe you haven't met my friend.
I actually, for some reason, thought Washington was on the $100 bill. I got my.
You
bills
gotta love it
crossed
when you're
up.
around a man who doesn't know the difference between $1 and
Running it
$100.
from-
That's a big shot right there. Okay, that's a man who's coming in from Naples.
Yeah.
Yep.
Naples. Aw.
He's like, are people still using cash? I thought we got rid of that.
Dollar bills exist.
Yeah, right.
What's
That's,
that?
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't even know
That's
what that is.
wow.
Back to Avello.
You're coming here. What were you telling us earlier about private flights?
Back to Avella. You only need
I
it.
had a very different experience
Yeah,
this morning
tell
than
us
Okay,
Yeah.
what you
tell us
described
about
it,
your
Byron.
experience here. Okay.
Well, actually, I will say, to Avello's credit, that was like the only flight that got me out of Florida.
I was gonna say,
Like,
you're coming in
I had
from-
5 flights booked as like backups on
Yeah.
backups because knowing that,
Because of the hurricane.
well, I just wasn't sure if Byron was ever going to not recognize Linda again in an airport and if we were
Nice.
ever going to get this invite.
Wow.
Like,
She
I
could
wasn't
wear-
sure.
My friends is a callback.
She could wear a Halloween costume.
So it was like, I
Never
can't
forget the face
miss this
again.
opportunity. I've got to get out of Florida into Connecticut. So I booked like 5 tickets with the hurricane. Every single one canceled, other than Avello.
Yeah, that's not
So,
surprising, by
yeah.
the way.
The
It's like
seats-
them in
Podcast
Sprint.
is sponsored by Avello, by
Yeah,
the way,
seriously.
right?
They're
Yeah,
the
shout
next
out
one.
to
Mosaic's
Avello.
out. Avello is in.
Yes.
Okay? No, that is.
There is no Mosaic without Avello.
There
Yeah.
you go.
I didn't think you were gonna make it, to be honest. Like
I
once you
didn't think
missed
so
the one that he
either.
took early on, and you got canceled. But I was like, when you didn't get
Yeah.
out beforehand, I was just like, this is not gonna happen.
I didn't think I was going to either. So
Good
but,
old Avello, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have. Most people don't know. I was telling you guys.
I didn't even book my hotel until like the wheels were taking off
Oh
I
wait,
was
you
just
didn't have a hotel.
Well, I had a hotel book because I was supposed to be here earlier in the
Yeah.
week, and flight got canceled, kept getting canceled, airports closed, and so I had canceled my hotel, and
Yeah.
I didn't know if this flight was going to take off or not. So I
Yeah.
didn't want to book it and then not be able to cancel it in time. So it's like I'll just book it
Yeah.
if this flight takes off. But it was right on time,
Hmm.
and booked my hotel from like as the wheels were lifting off in Orlando, and now here I am. So
You know what?
yeah.
Last time I took Avello, going to was it the Advance? No, we went to Fort Myers.
Yeah.
There was like 12 to 14 wheelchairs like jumping on
Holy
this airline, and I was
moly.
like, "This is like retire. We're going into retirement
When
city
they said
and
wheels
state."
up, they literally meant they were talking to the
You
customers.
guys.
So you're flying into RSW, and that is a.
That
Oh
was.
my gosh, that was crazy.
I felt like Benjamin Button. Like I was just reflecting on life getting.
By
on
the
that
way,
flight.
next time you do a weekend, just north of me,
Yeah.
maybe a text
Yeah,
message. I
that
can,
was very
I
rude.
could.
What would it matter if we text message? You wouldn't answer.
That's true.
It's actually a great point. Do you know how we knew Sheila was going to make it today? Because we look at our text
Maybe a phone
messages.
call.
Okay, my God, I make the executive decision today to put this guy. I'm like, we have this whole thing going on without him. It was nice, right?
It was a lot of oversharing.
But I felt
detailed
bad.
updates.
Yeah, but I felt
hourly
bad.
progress
He
reports.
literally said in the car, I'm going to add Byron into this group.
Well, we
text
weren't sure you were
message,
going to
'cause
be
you were
here.
a part of it.
Glad I wasn't.
So I
by the
said,
way.
let me, we're doing all this back and forth and details. And then I'm like, we need to put Byron on here. Thank God I did that, right? He added a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
So
Text dynamic.
we add him into
immediately
the
changes.
group.
Well,
Crickets.
call me next time you're in my neck of the
God.
woods.
No, he
Crickets.
even said he must be recording or something.
I said, he must be.
Were you?
I know my guy Byron. He must be
This
shooting.
morning?
He must
Was
be
it this
shooting
morning?
today.
Yeah, I was.
Okay, there
yes,
you
I
go.
was.
That's why he was.
Recorded
Because you were going to be late, and I was like,
Recorded Knowledge Brokers podcast. Just
There you go.
plugging that.
Yeah,
Did it go?
yeah.
Did it go
loosely.
good?
Did the
No,
plug go good?
it's a good thing. Honestly, people should support it.
It went great.
You
Yeah.
guys do a bunch of great podcasts. You do the Knowledge
thank you.
Broker. You do is it the Real Word?
Real word.
Is that the one that I've been on?
Well, we did an interview.
Oh, we did an interview for Now Bam or for Bam.
Yeah, just an interview when we had Grayson on. Have you been on
We've
the
done
Real Word?
separately
You
too.
might
I
have
haven't
been
done
on
the Real Word. I've
Oh,
done
okay.
I've done your
We've
regular.
just done interviews. Yeah.
I've done the real one, the regular podcast twice. I've
Yeah.
never done the Real
Do you
Word.
remember when I man in the streeted you at like an Inman conference?
I gotta tell you
years
this,
ago.
so you brought this
before
up.
Man in the Street was even
You
a
brought
phrase.
this up, and I got to tell you, when you first brought it up, I did not remember.
Yeah, that was.
And
this
then
was
Wait, did
probably
he even
close
know
to
who
10 years
Byron
ago.
was?
Maybe 9
Probably
years ago.
not.
No, he probably didn't know who I was.
no,
knew
but
who
I
he
started
was.
racking my brain after you said
It was like
that.
the first time we actually.
How long ago is this? Give me a
Mid-
second.
Was
maybe the
that
first time we met, but-
literally in a hallway at a hotel or something?
So when Inman used to do New York City, well, they still
Yeah,
do New York
Connect.
City, but what was
Inman
that at the
Connect.
Marquis, Marriott Marquis? Is that where they used to have it?
Oh my God! I'm actually, as you're saying this, I'm literally getting memory back right
Yeah.
now.
I don't
We
think
were
he
like
is.
on a back.
The lobby bar is where everybody
Yes.
kind of hangs out. We went up on one of the other levels in some, like
And
some
oh my
hallway.
God, I think you're right. I think you literally grabbed me in the hall or something. You were just like, "Hey,
It's
can
like,
I?"
yo, Jared, let's do it.
let's go
quick
do
interview.
whatever. And I was like,
had
"Okay."
Camera.
Yeah.
Is that how you guys first met?
And no, we first met, which Jared doesn't remember this at all, was at William Pitt Sotheby's had a.
And I'll be honest, I
event.
don't remember that. I remember doing that event.
I think it was in Stamford,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And we met briefly. Like,
Yeah.
you came off giving a keynote. I'm like, hey, great job, man. You're amazing.
Okay, so that
Can
was
you
probably-
sign
yeah,
this?
so that's-
Can you
yeah.
sign this book? I
There
did
you
not get
go.
the book signed.
Did you
though.
read the book?
Yeah, I read the book.
Okay,
I didn't get it
that's fine.
signed.
Maybe if I signed the book,
I
you could
wasn't
reply to
that
text
lame.
messages. Yeah.
But
Jeez.
He signed my book.
It all comes back. Yeah.
Yeah, but
We
that
could have
was
gotten married.
I think that might have been before. Was that before I mentioned this on the advanced stage? I can't remember. Did you have like the first advance before that, or was the first
I
advance
got to be
after
honest, dude.
that?
When it comes to timelines, I'm an
yeah,
idiot. I
it
have
must
no
have been
idea.
around that, probably right before you started advance. If this year
Probably.
was the
I know it was a
10th.
while ago. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
like, even when you tell that story, if I'm being completely serious, when you tell that story about the man on the street thing, I'm surprised you even wanted to interview me. Because if it was that long ago, I'm not even sure what, like, I don't know. I mean,
At
I
the-
for sure would have said yes. You know?
Sure, anything you
Who,
want.
me?
Anything
Good.
you want.
Yeah.
Are you gonna put my website somewhere?
Wait a second.
I'll comment my
That's
website.
me
Don't
Do
worry
you
about
think
it.
I'm from the gallery of jewelry? Yeah.
It's my time.
Who do you
Yeah,
think
it's
I
my time.
am?
It's my time. It's
Yeah,
my
yeah,
time,
yeah.
everybody.
What Jared said at the advance this year, I used to have the really baggy suit, and that was that
That's
first
the version
keynote.
of
Oh,
that's
so he
the
was in a
version
suit.
that you met.
Oh yeah, he was in a
Dang.
suit, but
Dang.
I never got to meet you in a suit.
You probably wouldn't have married me.
Yeah.
But
probably.
some of the pillars that you talk about now carried through from
Dude,
whatever that was 10, 12 years ago.
My whole thing right now is I've spent this whole week actually in different cities doing keynotes, and my whole thing is like we talked about at the advance. It's better to be reminded than to be taught.
Yeah.
And it's like all this stuff going on right now. I looked at an audience yesterday. You got to have some rapport to do this, and I felt like I did. We were vibing. Didn't even have a ring on. Yeah.
Are you wearing a ring right now?
Yeah, I am. I forget
I
all
haven't
the
been wearing
time.
mine
I was making
forever.
a joke because I was talking about my wife
I
from the
lost
stage.
it for a while.
And I'm literally talking
Found it.
about my
He was, like,
wife, and I'm
20.
whatever, and then I'm like, actually, guys, I'm fully available. I put my hand up because I always forget, and I'm like, yeah, I guess I don't even have this on right now. But I was talking to his audience, and I said, not frustratingly, but like I just kind of looked at them and I said, guys, all this stuff I've had to do the last 45 minutes here, talking about what to say here, what to say there, when to do this, how to do this, all this retraining we're doing. Do you know why I have to do this? Because you didn't run your real estate business the way you should have been the last 10 years. Because you know who doesn't care about these things? People you actually have relationships with. Somebody who's buying their third house from you, they're like, what's going on? And you're like, attorneys got involved. It's difficult, whatever, just sign here. And they sign it like somebody signing a waiver at a bounce house.
Yeah.
They don't care. But because we are in this continual thing where we focus on the left side of the transaction pre-close, and we're always trying to just re-up people and get people to work with us and get people, and it's just always, running uphill, we have to learn all these skills because it's the majority of our business who has to be converted by these skills. When the truth is, if we ever just started, and we're going to get into this in a second, if we ever just started focusing on the right side of the transaction and weren't just having to recreate customers all the time, look, you got to have skills, you got to have whatever. We wouldn't have to be going through all of this training because they would just be like, what's going on? And they'd trust you, and you'd be like, attorneys got involved. Makes things more difficult. You know how it goes. All you got to do now, it's a change in accounting. Now that one's going to pay that one, but then they're going to pay them that way. It's going to be a little bit different how we do it. Just sign here. I'll walk you through it. And they're like, okay, cool, gotcha, because I know you. But because we haven't run our businesses like that, it's all of we got to go into like boiler room training, of like, you say this and they say that and use it. It's interesting.
For all the new customers.
Yeah. For all the new 100%.
No, you're right. Nobody's having an issue on any of this stuff with people they have trust and rapport with.
No. Somebody's working with you for the third time.
Yeah.
They're just like, Jared, what's the deal?
Yeah.
And you're like, and like I said, it's like signing a waiver to bounce house. They're
What's
like,
the deal?
okay.
What do you think I should do? And then that comes down to, is that agent practicing cooperative compensation, or are they not?
Correct.
Because now you're going to get, you're going to have people that have worked with agents,
Correct.
multiple transactions that are getting two different
Correct.
Game plans.
But then you just tell, hey, there's one of three ways it's going to go down, right? Most likely it's going to be one of the two. One, they're going to be offering out comp like always, no big deal. We're just going to move forward like normal. Number two, it's going to be the same net to the seller, no difference. It's just a change in accounting. We're going to request it with our offer. They're expecting to pay. They're fully willing to, whatever. Or number three, and least likely, and there's always been sellers who have been like this, they're not going to be willing to compensate. Right. And they're not willing to compensate me or any other broker that comes in. And if that's the case, then we're going to know that ahead of time. I'll let you know what's going to happen. I'll give you a full net sheet on what it's going to look like, and we'll try to make it up in the negotiations because they're not paying it to anybody.
We're going to put everything you need in the offer.
Yeah.
And so even the ones that say they're not going to compensate, what I keep saying to agents is,
you're so right about this, by the way.
it is irrelevant what they offer.
That's right.
They could offer you more than you expect, less than you expect, what you expect, or zero, and none of it means anything.
That's right.
Because once you get into a negotiation, it all changes anyways. So put everything you need into the offer and work it out from there. And there's not a seller who in the country who's not open to offering compensation.
That's right.
Any seller you ask, if I gave you full price plus compensation on top, would you take it if that was the only offer you had? Yes. Oh, so you're open to compensation.
100%.
Yeah.
You're open to offering it.
Yeah. Their
You
list
know,
price is an offer.
Yeah.
Think about that.
The list
price is an offer.
The list price is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Listing prices on whatever portal you're looking on, none of them mean anything. The closing price is what
That's
means
what I
something.
said. It's an initial offer.
It's just a
We have
starting
not
point.
come to terms yet.
It's
We're
This
either
is an
gonna-
initial offer.
Conversation starter. That's what it is.
Yeah.
We rarely see list price be closing price.
Right.
So let's put everything into the deal
Yeah.
that needs to be into the deal, come up with that number, sellers got their net, buyers being able to get the payment that they want, where they want,
100%.
and we're moving forward.
100%. But what's really cool is, and I want to get into this, and I know you actually, when it comes to learning about you, she's going to do some of this because she has some real questions. And she's good at this. So
Opposed to fake questions.
No, but I mean, you were asking me questions in the car, and you had real curiosity about her. So where's that background? Where's whatever? And I said, you talk to her. And so but the cool thing is, before we go into that, and this is just how my head works, but it's just the truth. It's like, we don't have to agree with everything that's going on right now to understand that we can benefit from it. The good thing that's happening in our industry right now is that conversation's now being forced. And all of and awkward conversations are being forced because there's friction now with these buyers. But the good news is it's not just you, it's everyone. And those that are most prepared are now going to win, because think of it like this. It's like if you've ever seen someone from like the opposite sex and they're like a 9 or a 10. You're like, look at that. And then they talk. And you're like, yeah, 8, 7, 6. Like the more they talk, right? And then, this will show my age, there's people you see, they're like a 5, and then they talk. And they go 6, 7, 8, 9.
Why would that show your age?
Well, because the older you get, personality matters.
Oh.
Okay.
And I thought it always mattered.
No, it does. It really does.
So Jared
really
was like
does.
18. Just
Clearly does.
imagining how he identifies.
I'm just saying, an 18-year-old boy has different, looks at the world differently. Okay, I've got teenage sons. I have teenage sons, and I'm going to tell you, not one of them's ever come back and said, "Dad, you got to meet my girlfriend. Amazing personality." Okay, not once. Okay, so you make your jokes, but what I say is true. Okay, so my point
Grayson's
is,
a pretty curious kid.
my point is, though, is that we now are going to operate in an industry where conversation is paramount and everyone gets to see what it feels like to be the hot girl in the room. The ones who learn how to talk, the ones who learn how to have conversation, the ones who learn how to overcome, the ones who learn, they're gonna ultimately be 9s or 10s with their clients, okay? Meaning, and all those people that you used to see clients work with, agents in your area, where every time it happened, you went, how did that happen? How did you work with that person? Well, in the past, most of the time, there wasn't a whole lot of work conversation that was required. It was, let's just get along. Hey, let me see if I can vibe with you. Let me see if I can make you like me. Let me see if I can. And now there's forced conversation because there's agreements that have to be signed.
Well, that'll be, you're right. The vibing thing is going to dissipate because the built-in commission has gone away.
You still got to vibe, but now.
You still have to vibe.
Yeah.
And so what you're talking about is the separation of the people who really know their stuff.
Yeah.
They're going to command that. What did you use? The 9s or the 10s?
I said a 5 starts to talk and they quickly become a 7, 8, 9. And many times in our world, a 9 turns into a 5 when they talk.
The 5s and below are just going to be on that race to the bottom.
Yeah.
They're just going to be cutting, and they're going to do business on people that only want the lowest
That's it.
commission.
But here's the thing. Buyers are now sellers in the sense that we're going to have FSBO buyers.
Yeah.
Just like we have FSBO sellers, and they're now going to interview multiple people. Whereas before that wasn't the case. We talked about this earlier. People want the easiest one right in front of them. But now when there's a talk of compensation, they're going to interview multiple people. And so let me make this one point here. Like if you're working with buyers out there, you need to start looking at your listing presentation and saying, what am I bringing over? For example, if you're working with buyers and you right now have not started figuring out what your win percentage is, you haven't started figuring out what your sale to list price ratio is when you're working with buyers, you have not figured out how to actually communicate what your value is to that buyer, you're missing out right now because those conversations are going to happen.
Here's an interesting thing that did come out of that Zillow report we're chatting about before we started was buyers already interview more buyer agents than they do when they're sellers interviewing listing agents. Like
so interesting.
Over 60% of sellers they take the first agent, and that number is lower.
Yeah.
Buyers, I mean, it's not much lower. I think it was 48 or 49%, but it was, that's a considerable, almost 15% gap between how sellers are reacting. It's like, I got this one person in my house.
I was about to say, I was saying, why does that happen? And the truth is, you have to invite someone into your home.
And do I want to do this
That's
again?
Different.
Yeah.
And the reason that stat exists, we said this before, is purely convenience.
Yeah.
I'm signing with the first agent, not purely, but it's the reason that number is so much higher. It blows your mind when you hear that. It's like, why aren't people interviewing 2 or 3 to have a comparison? It's like, I just don't want to have somebody else in my house. And that was certainly true, obviously, in the second half of 20, 21, 22. Yeah. But on the buy side, they interview more because their buyer, they're showing up to the open house. You can consider that the first interview. Maybe they go on a tour and they just didn't vibe with that person. And that person gets canned, then they get another agent. So there's more of an interview process. And so if you have a system to that, to your point, a presentation, how you're breaking it down, how you're separating value early on, you can win that business, I think, much earlier.
Dude, you mentioned something that, again, I mean, one of the major messages I'm given lately is it's better to be reminded than to be taught. And it's like we're all looking for this new thing. What's the new thing? When we haven't done the last thing? The last thing still works. That's why we're here, because we didn't do the last thing. And I've been saying for years, we're an economy of convenience. Uber wins not because they're cheaper, they're more expensive. It's because they're convenient. I'm at my event yesterday and I'm doing whatever. And I literally in the middle of doing like photos and doing whatever, I said, guys, give me 1 sec. I just got to see how long the Uber's going to be. And I go and I order, I do whatever. And it's like, all right, it's going to be 12 minutes. It's going to be whatever. And I'm like, now I know exactly the moment to walk out. Complete convenience. Know when to head to the airport. We're an economy of convenience. And so even if people have the intention of talking to 3 people, 4 people, you go in and you nail it, and they're like, why would I need to talk to anybody else?
That's right.
To find you, I already found you. It's like when people say, oh, look. So when I went through my divorce, I was like, I'm going to be single forever. Like, I'm good. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just focus on this. I'll just, whatever. And then even in your head, and you're like, okay, well, maybe they'll be like, we'll see. Like, you just want to make sure it's the right. And then you run into someone or you're with, and you're just like, yeah, okay, I don't really need to look at anybody else now. Like I'm good.
Linda,
you
you're
know?
very convenient.
Look at that. Yeah.
I just live in California.
Yeah, really. Convenient is not the word for. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Oh, you live where?
Oh
No,
yes.
he
Not so
just-
convenient
he just
anymore.
grew up a little bit, and
Oh my
my
God.
5 went to 9.
Hey, baby, you were an 11 the whole time. Are you kidding me?
Thank
It's
you.
anyway.
What did he start at for you? A 5? Is that what you said?
Probably, I
And
don't
then
know.
you went. He
Probably. I
Went up
just
to a 9?
called you an 11, and you said probably.
No, he said, where do you start
Start
Oh.
before you opened your mouth.
Oh God, that's a good question actually.
First, it was personality.
I mean, I think she said 5.
Yeah, I know. I started as a 5
No. Because earlier you used the example as a 5.
out of 5 stars. My God.
Oh, out of 5 stars.
Yeah. She's on a different scale.
Good.
She's on a
Oh,
different scale.
God.
You're
so-
doing the Yelp scale, not
Yes.
the Dave Portnoy pizza scale. Goes up to
Right
10.
there you go.
Oh my God. So anyway, so yes, agreed on all that front. And I do want to, because we have a lot of things to talk about today. But
I know, we do.
yeah, we have so much to talk about today. But on that same note, obviously I asked you to come in and I asked you to be here. And anybody who's been at one of my events lately or whatever, I've been mentioning it, and I'm like, guys, when we talk about the left side of the transaction, we talk about the right side of the transaction. We're entering a world where if you really want
Can
to
you break that
safe-proof-
down in case somebody's like, is this my brain? What's the left side? What's the right side?
So when you
that
look at
might be
the-
totally foreign.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah. So when you look at the transaction cycle of a client, okay, there's the main point everybody has, which is a closing. And then, of course, there's before the closing happens and after the closing happens. And the fundamental shift that we need to understand in this industry is that the transaction does not stop at the closing. It starts at the closing.
Right.
When you look at the lifetime value of a client, all of the value is on the right side of the transaction. It's post-close. And yet when you look at the amount of time, energy, and money that the majority of agents spend in this industry, it's on the left side of the transaction.
Yeah.
It's all to try to make it happen. And we're focused. I'm not saying you don't focus on that side. I'm saying you don't focus on that side in place of where the actual value is.
That's right.
For example, all of the joy and happiness and everything that her and I will experience the rest of our lives is going to come post-marriage. So if
a good
all I did
analogy.
was put all of the effort into getting her to marry me, our marriage is going to suck.
Yeah.
The honeymoon will be good, but the marriage is going to suck.
We still haven't gone on a honeymoon, by the way.
We go on a honeymoon every 2 weeks, by the way. We go all over the place. Okay.
You just went
we'll go
to a
to-
5.5, Jared.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
Scales
analogy.
dropping back down.
Yeah. Okay.
Just throwing that out there.
You know what? I have a
No,
lot
actually,
to
I was
say
saying he
right
went
now.
up from a 5 to a 5.5.
I have
after
a
the
lot to
beautiful
say.
Analogy. You're saying
Well,
you dropped down with the no honeymoon.
apparently I haven't been on a honeymoon
know.
yet. So this scale is oscillating a
me
lot.
like
I'm
five,
like,
it took me like 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey.
Back to
You got
your
another
point.
4.5 years.
I think we're doing okay. Just randomly got you a ring the other day.
That was really sweet of you.
Okay, it was.
That was
Very
nice.
sweet.
scale
We
just
are-
went back
Talk
up
about
again.
it.
You guys aren't
No, just kidding.
married.
Just kidding.
I
No,
asked
she was
her
just
if I could
sending
have
me a
it.
picture. She was sending me. I was sitting at a bar at a steakhouse in some city I was in, just having dinner, and to her credit, and we're gonna go back to what I was talking about. To her credit, though, she is very non-entitled, does not expect things, doesn't want you to buy her flowers on a holiday just because you're expected to do it. Like, in fact, don't get them because they're way more expensive. That's a waste of money. Just let's Uber Eats and watch a movie and curl up, right? And so,
It's like pizza and bloody. Like, let's just hang out and have
yeah.
pizza and bloodies.
and I will give you the
Bloody Marys.
world.
Yeah.
Like, I will give you the world
There
until
you
you
go.
expect it.
Sorry. Bloody Marys.
Bloody
Those
Mary.
are Bloody Marys.
Bloody. Oh, bloodies. Yeah. I was like, jeez. Good God. Turned into a murder mystery.
Have
Yes.
fun.
But no, so I'm the type, like, literally, I will, like, if you're in my circle, and I'm like this, if you're in my circle, like, I'm talking friends, anyone, I will freaking give you the world. I love to just, like, everybody to enjoy themselves and not think about things, and, whatever, until I think that until you're entitled to it.
Yeah.
And then I'm done, And we were just sitting on a thing. She sent me a picture, and she was just going through a place and sent me a little, what do you call it, boomerang or something. And she's like, "Oh, isn't this cute?" I'm just whatever. And she was just
He
going
sent me a
through the
picture
store.
of his salad at a steakhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent him a picture of a ring that I was looking at a pawn, like a secondhand
Yeah.
place.
And I said, "Do you want it?" And you said, "Of course I want it." You're like, "But I don't need it,
Yeah,
so
I don't
it's
need
all
it."
good, like whatever." And I was like, "Get it." And she's like, "Huh?" I said, "Just get it. Do you love it? Like, get it, And she's like, "Oh my God, baby, thank you so much." Whatever.
It's
But it's
also
like,
different because I was a single mom for so long, and so my kids were always priority before anything that I wanted.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a need. And
Yeah.
I've always kind of been like that. Grew up very frugal.
So clearly my kids
so
are not
yeah.
a priority, which is why I got that.
Whatever. Back
Take-
to your
take
point
that, Chris.
earlier. Back to your other point.
Anyway, so point was right side of the transaction, left side of the transaction. We need to make sure, and this is actually why I wanted you to be on. It's why I support the company, is because I think it's the ultimate way to safeguard against any disruption in the industry, any changes, it doesn't matter what happens. When you have relationship with the people that you worked with, not now, but always, it doesn't matter. Like I say all the time, there's no such thing as a past client.
Right.
Like that's a ridiculous term to use. You know, we have active clients, which is anybody actively buying or selling, or anybody actively prospecting for someone else who's going to. Okay, they're prospecting on your behalf.
And if they're not doing either, they're a lost client.
That's it. You know, and
they're a lead again.
So anyway, so that's why we kind of brought you in, is because I want to hear a little bit about you.
I want to intro.
She wants to,
and talk.
but your tool is one of those tools when I'm talking to people and I'm saying, hey guys, you know, the days of just getting technology and checking the box and moving on, those days are over. Like we have had in the last 10 years over $50 billion put into our industry simply to get rid of agents. And like the cockroaches that we are, we stuck around. And we not only stuck around, we grew. And now we have these things like proof of concept where you have, companies selling for almost $500 million and hundreds of millions and tens of millions and whatever. And so now a lot of these venture capitalists and these dollars that are pouring into our industry, there's now proof of concept to say, hey, maybe we should stop trying to get rid of them. It's not working. Let's support them. Let's bring transparency. And so I always look at your tool as one of those that is like at the forefront. Hey everyone, I want to take a moment and talk to you about a really cool company called Privy. You know, if you were listening to this episode or even moving forward here, you're going to notice that I'm going to talk a lot about investors and how I think this is a huge part of the market that if you're growing a real estate business, we're not paying enough attention to. You know, I'm a big believer here that sometimes to grow your business, you don't just have to pick up a piece of the pie that's already there. Sometimes you have to go to a completely different pie. And it's so interesting because when you look at it, you look at all the data and you see that, 26, 27%, almost 30% of all residential transactions in the last 12 months were investors, right? They were investors. And when I was an agent, like a ton of the business that I did were investors. And so a lot of you hear that and you're like, oh, it's institutional investors. Institutional investors only make up about less than 3% of the overall market. And that's actually going down for the first time in years, which means that we have this huge number of people who are buying and selling properties all of the time, right under our nose, thousands of transactions. They're going to happen regardless. The only question is, are they happening with you? And that's the key thing that I want you to understand. And so when you look at Privy and what they do, they make you the go-to person to work with when it comes to finding investments, when it comes to finding out what a good deal is, when it comes to finding out what the right neighborhoods are, what the wrong neighborhoods are, what previous people had did, all at the touch of a button, right? And so all of a sudden, it's funny, I look at their stuff and I'm like, I worked with all these investors when I was selling real estate, and I'm like, how did I do this without this kind of a tool? And you don't have to do that. Now these kinds of tools are there. And so you're going to hear me in the future talking a lot about working with investors and what that looks like. And like I've said over and over again, it is my job to not only tell you what the problems are and what the solutions are, but ultimately to give you the tools that you need so that you can be the go-to source for something like that. And man, are these people worth a lot of money to you. So do yourself a favor, guys. Go to privy.pro. That's privy.pro. Amazing tool. You can ask us questions. There's more things even coming down the road with them that are just going to blow you away. But this is a tool you need in your business, especially for what it costs. It's not a cost, though. It's an investment, but it's well worth it. Let's start getting those investors.
And probably because of your analogy, a way to think about what Sheila's built at Mosaik is, your right side database versus your left side database might be, like I just interviewed Dan. He's going to come out next week from FUB. We use FUB for all of that.
Follow-up boss.
Left side, follow-up boss for all that. Left side.
Pre-close.
Leads, because we're just pouring leads every
Conversion.
single month into the team. You wouldn't pour leads into the database, to the tool, to the software that Sheila's built. So there are two different systems for your business.
So
for the
let's
left and the
so
right
let's get
side.
into that. So let's get into, first off, Sheila, who are you? How did you get into the industry? Like, what's your background? And then let's talk about, because you used an example at the Advance that I loved, I don't know if one of you used it, and you said, because people are asking, well, does this replace my CRM? And it's like, no, your CRM is for your leads. Mosaik is for your clients.
Yeah.
And I love, like, to me, that is like, that should be at the forefront of your site. Like, that is, because that's the question everybody has. Yeah. You get ahead of it right up front. No, this doesn't replace. This isn't CRM. It's for your leads. We're for your clients. We're for the right side of the transaction. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into this industry, and how you have grown to the place that you fly a velo.
Sure. So, I've come a long way. Moving up in the world.
You would have walked here previously.
Sheila, I don't know. I feel like you've flown some first class before.
Only if, the airline takes pity and
That's
bumps me up because they delayed me like 15 hours. And
You know what's
I got
embarrassing is
stuck
that you
somewhere.
guys actually sat first class together. Byron just didn't recognize you.
That's what it was.
But he has a history of that.
I was wearing
so,
a baseball hat. I didn't even bother
that's a
introducing
callback.
myself.
Thank you, Byron. Thank you.
Actually, Linda had about 20 feet of leg room, so she was like better than first class.
Wow.
Where she sat.
I think he just said you have long legs, babe.
You
You
like
must have been
that?
in the Avello bulkhead.
She didn't need it all, but she had it all.
I just gave you did like you were giving her a
Emergency
compliment. You just
exit.
took it back. She didn't
No, I'm
need
saying
it
she
all.
didn't even need it all because it was
No,
that
she
much.
doesn't have long legs.
That
She had
much
plenty
leg
of
room.
room. Plenty.
You know
Those
what's
little
so funny,
stubs, I
Byron?
wasn't even sure if they were
You
legs.
and I know exactly
God,
how
Lieutenant Dan over
how
here.
it looks in our head, and
Yeah.
they literally have no idea.
If you sit in the first row of a Velo, you get like 50 feet of leg room because there's like no barrier
I think
between
they
the
ask
seats
you to
and the
help
door.
fly, don't they?
They probably do.
They didn't ask me, so I'm not sure if I should take that
Hey, I'm going to take
personally
a
or not.
bathroom break. Ma'am, do you mind taking over here? Yeah.
Sheila's flying a Velo because she's building Mosaik, and eventually she will be probably flying her own jet.
Oh, kick
Is my-
saving
is
a
my-
beauty. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
is my prediction, because I've often said about Sheila, Dan's like the guy that got that big exit
From Follow Up Boss, yeah.
500 million to Zillow. Sheila's somebody I think that can pull that off in this industry. One of the very
pressure.
few.
I don't know about that, but
No
maybe you
pressure.
guys will invite me
No pressure.
onto an airline, another airline.
500 million pesos.
Maybe Jared will have this podcast somewhere where I can get another airline to go.
God.
Although I will say I think I'm very loyal to Avello now.
Are you?
After
Because they got you
they
there.
came through,
Got you out of the storm?
so
Well, the
I think
storm's
I
bad.
found my new airline. I don't think they have like frequent flyer miles or anything.
You know,
do they?
I'm pretty sure that if we pool our money together
have
right
something,
now in
yeah.
our pockets, we might be able to buy a Velo.
No.
You guys.
I think it was some Southwest people that
Of course, this
started
guy
it.
doesn't know the difference between $1 and 100.
It's
So
true.
Yeah.
I'd like to buy your company.
Send me an offer.
Guy didn't know he didn't know he came in here to get roasted.
Bitcoin only.
That's
How
what
many
happens when you don't read your
Washingtons do we
text
need to buy a
messages.
Velo?
I heard Jared's paying for dinner tonight, though, since I don't know the
Hey,
difference.
I am.
You know?
I am. All right, so talk to us.
Yeah. So
background.
how did I end up here on the
Yeah,
Velo?
how did you get
Okay.
into, because you didn't start off in real estate, you didn't start off, a lot of these companies that we talk about from the past, I don't think you were in the industry to know what they were. So how
Yeah,
did you
so-
get here?
And Sheila, just so you know, you guys might know, I actually don't know like your personal story. I only met you and talked for maybe 5 minutes backstage before you introduced her.
Yeah,
at
we
the
only met
advance.
like a few weeks
So
ago.
I
yeah.
truly like want to actually.
That's
really
the kind of
know
background we do
of
at the
you.
advance before we allow people to introduce others.
Well, luckily I wasn't. I mean, you got to introduce.
No, I
her 'cause you
introduced
knew.
Sheila.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
I know
Don't
Sheila's
worry.
background.
No.
Thought I
Hey,
did
just
fine.
read this.
Thought I did a fine introduction.
It was flattering. Thank
Flattering.
Aw.
Okay.
you. Yeah.
all right.
I don't know if I lived
Do you
up
see
to it,
how
but
you
I'll
just
try.
fished for a compliment? Did you just see
know.
that?
I did see that.
I was looking
thought
for
it was a
something
fine
after.
introduction. Affirm me.
Tell me.
Affirm
After
me.
getting
I don't know.
roasted for
I don't know
Oh
if
my
Tom
God.
caught
the
it,
first
but he
half
definitely
for
had
the
a "I
left
need a
side of this
compliment" look on his face.
God, poor guy.
Okay, Sheila, you got the
Yes.
floor.
Maybe
Okay.
you think you
So
should've
how I
showed
got
up
into
late,
the
right?
industry.
Yeah, I should have.
So I have been dabbling in real estate pre-Mosaik, I would say. So came into it from like a consumer viewpoint.
So do you have? I'm sorry, real quick. Tech background?
Not a formal tech background. So professionally came from the healthcare world, and then just in terms of like kind of personal side hustle sort of thing from the real estate side, just doing flips, rentals, that sort of thing. Nothing at a really large scale, but got into it fairly young out of school, kind of on the heels of like the '08 financial crisis, which is what made it accessible to me at the time in a way that probably wouldn't have been in any other time and place. And so, through the years was just doing different, kind of deals here and there, working with different agents, having different experiences. So just in the back of my mind, kind of keeping this like mental checklist of stuff that went awry or like where I didn't feel like I was having the best experience.
She's like Rich Barton. The minute I met a real estate agent, I knew I had to help fix
I needed to get in there. Yeah.
You know, here's the thing though. It was never about like, I actually worked with some really great agents. My first ever real estate agent on the first deal I did was like 83. His name was Cy, and he was phenomenal.
In 1983?
No, he was 83 years old.
I don't know if I should be like.
This is a different kind of podcast.
I don't know how old you
Just,
think I am.
we're going to keep jumping in.
He was 83 years old. I met him at a mall kiosk next to like, you know how they would
wow.
sell like hair straighteners and like mall kiosks?
I think
they
they wheeled
stopped
him
you
on.
at the hair
They wheeled him
straightener
onto
place?
our flight to Fort Myers. We met him.
Yeah, he had like a little booth thing, and yeah, I was trying to like. I really wanted. I was very young
real
at the time.
estate was a part-time thing for him then.
No, he was doing it full time still. He
Oh,
was
and
like,
running the kiosk.
well, it was just like a real estate kiosk. It was like the brokerage's
I thought-
kiosk in the mall.
I legit
Yeah.
thought you like meant like hair straight.
there.
No. Okay, it was like next
I
to.
didn't know what
You know
that
how
meant.
you're like walking down a mall,
Yeah.
and people
Cologne.
are like,
It's right in the middle.
yeah, phone cases, hair straighteners. There was like a little
Yes.
real estate kiosk,
At
and so
83,
Nice.
he's hanging out at the
83.
mall.
Good for
Met
him.
Cy,
Wow.
first deal with him, and this was like, so this was like on the heels of the financial crisis. A lot of short sales, a lot of foreclosures, but a lot of like cash investors.
What was this, like mid-2000s?
This was probably like 2010, 11, so like on the
Oh,
heels
it was a
of-
little, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it was a
You at
little
the
bit
tail end.
after.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
But there was still, or maybe it was like around 10. It was
Yeah.
it was shortly after. So I grew up in a small town in Southern California,
Mm-hmm.
so it was like very overbuilt in like 05, 06. Just a lot of like homes that were foreclosed on, short sales. It was really unfortunate. So I think the first house I ever bought was like, you know, $120-something thousand, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square feet.
Don't you wish you bought 30
imagine?
of them?
Wish I had kept it
Wish
for
you bought
longer than
30
I
of
did
them,
too.
right?
Yeah. But he helped me get that first deal, and it was this crazy experience because there were a lot of like cash investors coming in from LA, Orange County, just swooping up houses. I think we put in like 30 offers, and like every single one of them just kept getting
Yeah.
rejected. And he just, you know, at one point it was like, okay, maybe this just isn't it for me. Like this, I'm just going to put this on pause. And he was so encouraging. There was even during, when we finally got one under contract, there was like a whole bunch of title stuff. He went and sat at the courthouse for like hours one day. And now, knowing what I know now about splits and stuff, which I didn't even know until starting Mosaik, I think he lost money on that deal.
Wow.
But he never didn't treat me like the most important client that
Yeah.
he'd ever had.
Nice.
And was so encouraging, and like I feel like that in many ways like really charted the course for me professionally, because to be able to have made that deal happen and like the confidence that came from that at a fairly young age just was a game changer.
Yeah.
And so it was never really about, oh, real estate agents aren't doing like the right thing. It was more about just as I did subsequent deals and had subsequent experiences, it was always just like something got missed in an email. And so now there's this like 11th hour fire drill where I'm
Yeah.
having to run and FedEx papers overnight. Or there's, you know, just kind of a clunky experience. So what I was keeping in the back of my mind was just this tally of like, this was not a great experience doing this, or this like digital aspect of it wasn't awesome. But for the most part, most of the agents I'd worked with over the years were actually really great. It was just the tools and like how you stay connected
Yeah.
in between the conversations, in between the in-person experiences was
So
what was
they were
rough.
great personally. They just weren't empowered by what you thought they needed in order to
Exactly,
take it to that
exactly.
next level.
Especially as like the world was evolving, right?
Yeah.
Because as we talk about like a world of convenience, you start to expect certain things and certain conveniences because you're getting them somewhere else.
in the other industries, in the other parts of your world. But then when you stepped
Exactly.
into the real estate realm, you realized they still had fax numbers on their business card.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember having to like drive to, I think it was like my parents' house or something, because I didn't have a scanner and I needed to like, they wanted scanned copies. They wouldn't take like a digital signed version, and this was like the day before closing. So
I
it was
remember back then
experience-
with the short sales, they wouldn't take e-signatures,
Yes,
even though
that's
they were
right, yep.
federally recognized.
Yep.
And they were like, "Well, no, you could fake that." And I'm like, "They can't fake a regular signature."
Yeah.
And it's like, Batman's parents were killed walking the street, and yet we still go for walks. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
To even And just for the record, I know Batman's not real. I just want to be clear, but the point remains.
There were people though, consumers that were skeptical of e-signature.
Yeah.
too.
Oh,
It
no
wasn't-
doubt.
It wasn't just.
But as a bank,
banks.
it's federally recognized.
Yeah.
No, I know.
But
You're
with
not
that
here for
particular
skepticism.
No.
with that particular experience, what I recall was the frustration not even being that the e-signature wasn't accepted. It was that we found out that it wasn't going to be accepted like 2 days before closing. And it was this like 11th hour fire drill to get all the paperwork in so closing would happen on time, because, you know, someone just, I either didn't check it until like right before, or there just weren't enough safeguards in the process so that I could have been made aware sooner. That was what had stuck out to me in that particular experience, far more than the fact that like the e-signature wasn't expected. Yeah.
So then you go, so you go from that. But you were in healthcare?
Yeah, so at the same time, so this is just kind of something I'm doing like on the side.
Purchase your first home, like Southern California area.
Yeah, just basically, you know, flip that, do some rentals, just kind of happening on the side over the years. But out of school, went into hospital management. So was really focused on that professionally for several years. Essentially worked in the space doing what's called revenue cycle management. So a lot of like when you go into a hospital or to see a physician, they're then billing your insurance company, right? So making sure that insurance companies are paying for services, that the contracts are where they need to be, negotiating that stuff. So was working on that over the years. Didn't really at the time realize how many parallels that it had to real estate, but now like looking backwards, a lot of that experience along with the consumer side is I think what was like the formation of Mosaik in my mind. Since then it's evolved to just, you know, being in the industry. But from the healthcare standpoint, there's just so many parallels with like what happens in real estate, just structurally, like the way agents are independent contractors with brokerages, that's often the case with like physicians and hospitals.
Right.
The way that we have a lot of agents like today have so many different platforms and logins and systems, that's exactly how it was when I started my career in healthcare. The pharmacy system was different from the billing system, which was different from the inpatient system, and everything was kind of hobbled together with, you know, different integrations, and nothing quite talked the way it should.
And you saw that as a major weakness, like the idea that, okay, so just take it to the agent front for a second. Got to log in here, you got to log in here, you got to log in here. There's all these different places.
Well, when I got into healthcare, it was right on the cusp of the introduction of really integrated electronic medical record systems.
Yeah.
So if you've been to like a doctor recently and you've been able to log in and see your chart, that was something that really has only been available to folks maybe in the past decade or so.
Yeah.
Before that, everything was super fragmented. So my tech background is really more in seeing that, you know, metamorphosis in the healthcare industry of going from these fragmented systems to these really integrated ones. Because I worked on the revenue cycle side, you know, anytime there's like a gap in the system somewhere, you don't get paid by the insurance company.
Yeah.
They're like denying you any which way. So it kind of forces you to be really familiar with the systems and the process from end to end.
You got to eliminate those deficiencies. Like
Exactly.
Otherwise you're not getting paid.
So it's very, you know, hands-on and involved in those like systems implementations and saw them firsthand. And so it really was like the difference between, so for example, if you have a patient who comes in, gets admitted to the hospital, maybe they're unconscious or they don't remember what medications they're taking, if your inpatient system doesn't talk to your pharmacy system, it's a lot harder to figure out if what you're about to prescribe them or give them is maybe, you know, a counterindication to what they're taking at home.
Right.
But when your systems talk to each other, now you have these alerts kicking in, right? Of, hey, this person might be allergic to this medication, or there might be a risk here. So that like flow of data makes you that much more efficient as a hospital, as a provider. And then on top of that, with those integrations and like those integrated systems came the ability for patients to see their own charts and log in and see their lab results, which is now an expectation for most people. And so that's really where, you know, some of those parallels come in.
Getting that. It's like if I just went to the doctor, I want that as fast as possible. You used to have to like wait for, you know, a phone call. You never know when it's going to come. You don't want to miss the phone call. You know, nobody would ever miss a text, but you don't want to miss a phone call ever, you know.
Everybody misses phone calls. Nobody picks up. So really you are at that point it's about transparency now, right? Like it's the idea of in that field. We're not talking real estate right now. We're talking about in that field. There's a higher level of transparency. They can see what's happening. It's much quicker. Places are talking to each other, and that's still in that field. Like we're not even entering real estate yet, but you're seeing how that starts to work.
Yeah, you're seeing everything move in that direction, both in healthcare and then outside of it as well, because when you think about like tech that's really, really advanced, like consumer technology, like Amazon or Apple or just all of these things we're so used to using day to day, as consumers, now when we go into areas like healthcare and real estate, like we have certain expectations now because we're experiencing, like the Uber example you gave earlier. If I know exactly when I need to walk out the door, because I'm getting that in other aspects of my life, and frankly the more common aspects of my life, right? You're probably using Uber a lot more than you're buying a house, or you're doing these other big things. Now you're expecting it that much more because
when you go into something as stressful and as large as a real estate transaction.
Yeah, and we talked about this at the advance. Like when you're going through something stressful, which is often the case in the healthcare industry, definitely the case in real estate, in all these big major life-changing industries. When you're going through something stressful, your tolerance for like the small inconveniences is decreased. Everything feels that much more annoying.
Because it's the third most stressful stressful time in life, right? Death, divorce, and moving. And I'll say to an audience, like, did you ever deal with a client and you felt like they were insane? And they're like, oh yeah. And I'm like, actually, at that point in their life, they kind of were.
Right.
If you actually look at where they're at, that elevated state, that elevated whatever, it's like, no, they are a little bit insane. You see this when when people go through divorce or something, it's like you see the worst versions. That doesn't mean that's who those people are. People go through a home buying process, whatever, they're stressed. That doesn't mean that's who those people are. People are at an airport. The flight gets delayed or canceled. It's not who they actually are. They're just at this elevated state. And you're right, real estate is kind of like that at all times. Yeah. Interesting.
And not being able to see what is going on, it just send people off.
Yeah, and so you're bringing people from that world, and this is what you were noticing, is that you're seeing people in that world of they're used to a certain way of living. They're using Instacart. They're like, it's just the simplicity, right? Economy of convenience. And then they step into real estate, and it's like, already I'm in the third most stressful time of my life, many times multiple of the top three. And I have a low tolerance for any kind of anything, and now you are taking me back in the world, to a time that once was, right? Interesting.
The fact that up until this point, the far majority of everybody's clients never saw anything that was going on.
It is kind of crazy.
It's kind of insane.
It's kind of nutty, and it's just kind of like everybody's gotten away with it. I said this to an audience yesterday. I said,
but to Sheila's point, didn't have the tools, which is why.
Yeah, we didn't have the tech.
Yeah. She was like, "Let me go build this."
Look, man, we just launched Jared James Academy, and I said the reason we held off for so long is the tech wasn't there to do what it is we wanted to do. But it's so interesting because when you look at that kind of a thing, right, and you see that people don't have the transparency, they don't have whatever. I said to an audience just yesterday, I said, how many of you have ever, been in a situation where the client or someone said, my agent didn't do anything, or, I could find my own house, or I can, whatever that thing is. And I said to these people, I said, on some front, guys, they feel like that because you did your job too well.
Yeah.
Meaning for years what we've done is we've shielded people from the crazy agent on the other side, the crazy consumer on the other side, because you're just trying to hold it together. You're trying to, and so there's some things that are obviously admirable about that, but at the same time, when they're now operating in a world where they have transparency on everything else they're doing, the largest asset they're ever going to own, they're not seeing anything.
Yeah. And I would say, in fact, shielding a consumer or a client from some of that is in some ways, I think, especially in this world we live in, both a disservice to the client and the agent. Because from an agent perspective, like, those are opportunities to showcase your value.
Correct.
And that's not a selfish thing to do. In fact, that's a selfless thing to do because you want your client to feel like they are getting value for what they're spending.
Right.
And so when you are putting out a fire or solving a problem or handling a serious situation, that not only gives your client confidence that, okay, I've got the right person on the job for me and I'm in good hands, but it's going to make them feel a lot better when they look at that closing statement and see like the money that went out into commissions. And at the same time, I think it's also respecting the fact that, for the client, like, it, we're looking at it in the industry as a side, a deal, volume, whatever it may be, but for that client, it's their life savings.
That's
it's like their hopes and dreams. It's the
where they're going to raise their children.
Exactly. It's the memories that are made, or it's the next chapter of their life, or it's moving on from a difficult chapter of their life. And so I think it's also respecting that autonomy. Like, we saw that a lot in the healthcare field, and that was a tough transition too. With the increased transparency, even just things like WebMD came out. Like, that wasn't all. That was frustrating for some physicians of having to then explain why this like random medication someone Googled isn't applicable in this scenario or isn't the right thing for them. But at the end of the day, for like the patient, it's their health and it's their
right.
body, and they need to make an informed decision around that.
Accountability.
Yep, exactly. And
Yeah.
so the physicians that are, masters of their craft and that are confident in what they do, they know how to navigate that, and
Yeah.
they know how to give that confidence, and that makes the patient feel that much more certain of
Right.
the medical decisions they're making. And I think that same thing applies in real estate. So I think that's a huge opportunity a lot of agents leave on the table to just showcase their own value of, here are the problems that I'm solving, or here's this issue that came up, here's
right.
what I'm gonna do, I'll call you back in a few hours and let you know how it goes. These are all these kind of micro opportunities to build up that perception of value, and then get to that right side of the transaction, right, where this person now trusts you. And
So, when did you decide to leave healthcare and hey, I want to start up something that I have no idea. I have an experience.
yeah.
I know what to do. I have an idea, but
So-
you're really not you're not really grounded in real estate.
Right. So getting into real estate, just kind of on the side, I always figured I would come back to real estate. That was always what I was passionate about and interested in. I kind of fell into healthcare after school. A lot of my family's in the healthcare world. I had graduated a few years early, so it was just kind of easier to get into that path to get work experience, and then ended up staying and just kind of growing at the company that I was at. But I had kind of gotten to a point where I'd gone as far as I could go at the hospital company that I was at, and so I had to make a decision of, do I make a lateral move? Do I do something else in healthcare? Do I do something different altogether? And so real estate was always something I saw myself coming back to in some way, shape, or form. Didn't know exactly what that would look like, but also knew that if I kept going down the healthcare path, I would eventually get too comfortable and never make that change. So kind of got to one of those organic forks in the road where I was you know what, I'm gonna jump out of this healthcare plane and just kind of see where I land. And so this was end of 2019, early 2020. Figured, you know what, I'll maybe take a year off, travel, have this eat, pray, love experience. You can pretty much imagine how that went, because this was February 2020-ish that I'm booking tickets and
God.
stuff.
And March hit.
I just did the eating and praying part, a lot of Uber Eats.
It was eat, pray, inject.
Yeah, exactly. But that just gave
Try
me a
to
lot of
breathe,
time
yeah.
to flesh out what I wanted to do next, and I just kept coming back to, this laundry list in the back of my mind of these
Wait,
little
weren't you in
experiences.
Chicago?
I was in Chicago.
So that's
yeah.
where you went for COVID?
I moved to Chicago.
No, for work,
I was
right?
living in Chicago from
Yeah.
the healthcare world. I used
Gotcha.
to travel a lot, and so it was a central location for me. And then I lived downtown in a condo, went into full lockdown.
I was
knew
going to say, during COVID.
during
They
COVID,
have some great
knew-
comedy clubs down there. Jared and I have gone to.
Probably not during 2020.
I don't think we
No.
were
I
laughing
don't
about
think
much at that
so.
time.
Not
Yeah,
I
we
knew
weren't.
Not
three
20.
people in the city. It was kind of crazy.
Really?
So
Was your area, in all seriousness, because I have a friend who lives down that way, and she had to evacuate because her building got completely pummeled through one of the riot.
So,
in the summer?
yeah,
Yeah.
thankfully my building was okay.
Okay.
The area was okay during the riots and stuff,
Yeah.
summer 2020. We were all boarded up. We had to have extra security.
Oh my god.
I think I was one, because I was one neighborhood away from the core downtown where a lot of that was happening, and there were police cars being set on fire. It was crazy. I lost actually a lot of equity that had been built up in that condo over all of
Jeez.
that. So
Boy, okay.
Yeah.
So we could, by the way, we could do a whole separate podcast on that.
yeah, so it took me a
right,
while
here
to
you find
unload.
yourself.
Right, it's not good for equity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Could not unload the condo.
unpopular opinion.
Ended
Not
up
great.
Burning of police cars outside the building does not
equity.
raise
Yeah.
value.
Affects equity.
Doesn't
You
raise
know.
home values.
Does not.
Yeah, couldn't. It was basically a hard time to sell. It was the one real estate market that wasn't on fire, right?
Well,
It's
that's why I made
downtown
the joke, was because I
condos.
literally said,
Yeah.
I remember during that time thinking, I can't imagine. There were certain cities I looked at, and I'm I can't imagine being downtown there. There was there was Seattle, New York.
Yeah, so I
whatever,
was
you're just
basically
Yeah.
quarantined in my little
and they had such
condos.
they had such stringent lockdown rules
did,
that
yeah,
you couldn't look at anybody, they might die.
Yeah.
That was dang, that's where you were.
That's where I was. Yeah, I was in the
And
thick
look
of
at
it.
us now all together.
I know.
I mean, this is,
Yeah.
this is a breakthrough here.
It's
You guys
it's
did
very
move the
different.
couch over there.
quite a
so
bit.
Well, I protect my woman. I put her on the far end. I can't have you guys breathing on her. Okay. Anyway, okay. So you're in that situation, and
Yeah. So I'm just kind of stuck in Chicago, basically. Can't really do anything. Can't go anywhere. Don't really know anyone to hang out with, or just ride through
Did you
the
get
storm
depressed?
with. No, not really. Well, actually, I don't know. I was a weird time. I don't even know how to describe like feelings in 2020.
I think
Just, like,
everyone
it
was
a
depressed,
lot.
so you probably just felt like everyone. You're
Exactly.
like, we're all supposed to be depressed now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it just gave me like a lot of time to think and
That's
a lot of
so
time to
interesting.
research and like work on stuff. And
It's somewhat of a blessing in disguise. Like,
It
you
was,
left
it
the
was,
healthcare
yeah.
like, you left at honestly probably a perfect time.
I was thinking that too, because if I had left even a few months later, I don't think I would have been able to leave. Like, I don't think I would have been able
that's
to.
a good point.
what
I
I'm
hadn't
saying.
thought about
I
that.
wouldn't have been able to like leave my colleagues or the company I was
You
at.
would
I
have
would
looked like some kind of coward, like we need you
yeah,
now and you're out of here.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I left a couple months before COVID happened.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a.
So you knew it was coming.
Probably.
If I could have predicted.
I love my favorite reactions are when Tom holds back.
Oh, hi,
Tom's over there, he
producer
goes,
Tom.
I don't know. I feel like if I was
so
that good
tell
at
us
making
what you know,
predictions, I
Sheila.
wouldn't be
This is the
hanging
real
out here.
reason we brought you here. Where were you?
Yeah. In November
Yeah,
of 2019.
There is no dinner
Taking
tonight.
a trip to China.
You know,
Did
I will
now?
say though,
Yeah.
I think I may have caught like one of the very early variants of COVID, because early 2020 I was at a wedding on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And I came back and I
Yeah.
was so sick. I was like in bed for 2 weeks.
blame it
I
on
had
the
this
East Coast.
really,
I was
really
gonna
bad.
say.
Of course it was.
Well, they say that's where it
Yeah.
the first made.
Started.
That was
landfall,
pre-flying
I
of
guess,
Velo.
using
Velo
hurricane
would have been. Velo would have
That's
given.
where
her
the
a
eye
clean
of the
flight.
storm
Yeah.
hit was New York City.
Well, I don't know, but I was like really sick for a few weeks. It was crazy. Like,
I think there's a lot of people. Like I said, I have the same kind of a story. Obviously, I was traveling a lot during
Yeah.
that time, doing events, doing.
I've heard a lot of people say they had like
But
the
you
worst
just,
flu
for
of their
me,
lives.
I just
yeah.
ignore. Like you just act like you're not sick and you
Yeah.
just move on. But I remember the same kind of a thing, which, unpopular opinion, blessing in disguise, because like getting it early was kind of like, all right, immunity now, I'm good.
Yeah, it was a
You
good
know?
thing.
Yeah, it's like good. Let's get it. Let's get over it.
Yeah.
All right, so you're there, and that's a part of the story I hadn't heard before. That like that time gave you time to really start to think. And is that where you started thinking of the idea for Mosaik?
Yeah, so I had kind of had like the idea in the back of my mind. Mosaik's evolved a lot since then, especially as we've
As
gotten
all
more.
startups do,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Especially as we've gotten like a lot of agent feedback and consumer feedback and whatnot. But the foundation of it was kind of in the back of my mind. I remember even when I was like moving to Chicago. Even looking at search apps, like I was always trying to keep it straight in my head of like, oh, this one's close to this, like this one's this close to this airport, or this condo's this close to like
Yeah.
whatever grocery store. And even just through that experience, I was like, I wish there was something that would have like tracked this for me a little bit better, where it wasn't, me having to keep track of everything and like just in my head as we like looked at all these properties and stuff. So there were different experiences that were happening even just through that had kind of informed like the core of what just even our current like features and offerings are in Mosaik today. But yeah, it gave me the time to like really sit and think about it and like map it out and really start to study the industry. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if Byron believes me, but like I was following him for years before we ever actually even met.
Don't tell him that.
I don't believe
I was
her.
following a lot of
tell
people
him
though.
that.
It wasn't just you,
I was
Byron.
following a lot.
Well, I
of
feel,
totally a lot of
people.
I feel like I completely wasted my COVID time because you built a software company. I was
true.
doing like
Became a gamer.
a gift card project, playing golf in Naples, buying more online leads.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't build a software company.
Yeah, exactly. God.
Well,
But you
yeah,
also
and-
weren't locked up in your condo.
Yeah,
You
you
couldn't
weren't
go
trapped.
anywhere.
she
you weren't
wasn't playing
trapped.
golf.
No.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
In
by
Naples.
May I was in Naples and
Oh,
I was
God.
over at Lely Resort.
Man,
She had
of
riots
the
Yeah.
outside of
people.
her place.
It was actually
Man of
really
the
hard
people.
for me to, because I had
Wide
thought,
open.
most of my family's in healthcare, so most of them were on the front lines.
Yeah.
Like my mom was working in the ER at the
Yeah.
time as an ER physician, so like I didn't really even have the option to like leave Chicago and go stay somewhere else just because like the risk would have been high.
Yeah.
And then I also just like didn't want to expose them any more than
Yeah.
I otherwise would have. So we just like all kind of like hunkered down
You
in
just locked
place.
down and that was that.
So yeah, I just was like kind of I don't want to use the word trapped. It ended up being like a great experience in terms of my ability to focus on Mosaik, but it was an interesting time where
Blessing in disguise, though.
Yeah.
You got a chance to kind of. Okay, so let's kind of talk about this. So you do that. You come up with this idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously evolved, and one of the things you said that I think is really important that I think our listeners need to know is that you made a comment there and you said, hey, what we started at is not where we're at now. We listen to our users. We listen to. For all of you that follow me and know that I keep mentioning this, I'll give Sheila a ton of credit because you commonly ask me like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Or I got this idea, or we're doing this, or what do you think should be over here? What do you think? And like, you're all about like taking what's going to be best for them? Like what's going to work best for them? What do we need to get rid of? What should we add here? What should we? And so it's one of those things where it's like, you're taking off now, but there's still a commitment to, like, we're here to serve you guys. We want you guys using this. We want this to be sticky to the point that you don't want to let go of this once you have it. Like, it's just too valuable to you. And I think you've done a nice job of kind of taking the right advice. I mean, everybody's got an opinion, but, taking the right advice as far as where things should go.
Yeah, it's definitely straddling a line between, how do we stay true to, like, the ultimate goal of Mosaik is how do we give agents the tools to deliver more value to their clients, right? And so we have to kind of stay true to that. And sometimes that does mean we have to kind of disregard some feedback that's maybe too rooted in today in order to build for tomorrow. But at the same time, like, real estate is just such a nuanced and local business. And so that was, we, over the past few years of building it, like, there's a lot of times we've had to go really slow and steady, delay stuff. Like, we actually delayed our entire market launch by almost a year. Because we realized we didn't have like enough to make agents' lives easier. We had just gone too client feature heavy. And so through that, we've gone through different iterations. But like, I think a lot of tech, sometimes where it isn't as sticky for agents is because it can't account for like the nuances of that local market. Is it an escrow state versus an attorney state, or just, the different MLSs, or like, you've got the background in that space, right, Linda? So there's so many different nuances that go with it. And I think that's been like our big focus is getting that feedback too, of how do we make something sticky in Connecticut and in Florida and in California.
Can you touch on, for example, because for the people listening right now, and they've heard me mention it several times. So what do you guys actually do? So one of the things I love about your tool is that it is both, the agent brokerage team, whatever focus, but also the consumer focus. So the consumer actually gets an app, can have notifications on or off, can know exactly what's going on. But like, can you kind of walk people through what's the experience when somebody has Mosaik? When you say, hey, the CRM is for your leads, we're for your clients. We're about that lifetime value, them using you over and over again, because I think that's a place that most people struggle. They've gotten really used to, how do I convert someone, and now I close on them, we're happy, I give them a gift, and let's just hope that they come back.
Right.
But they're because the technology hasn't been there, they're not great at the right side. They're not great at, what do we do with these people? So what does Mosaik actually do?
Yeah, so if you kind of think about what like someone's tech stack looks like today in the industry, right? There's probably different tools you're using.
Explain a tech stack, just so you know. I know what a tech stack is, but there's people listening, they have no idea what
like
that is.
the different applications or technology you're using in your business. So most agents and teams have marketing tools. So whether that's buying online leads, whether that's social media, whether that's just different vendors they're using for like postcards and farming, whatever it might be, there's some way you're generating leads, or multiple ways you're generating leads, right? And for most people, those leads, as they get generated, are going into a CRM, and the industry's done a great job of putting together really sophisticated CRMs.
It's great ones, yeah. Yep,
some really fantastic ones that are there to help you convert those leads. So so when you're dealing with a lead, this is someone who maybe has some indication of selling or buying a home, and who probably doesn't know you or doesn't know you very well. So your whole focus at that point, right, is how do you stay in front of them? How do you have touch points? How do you get them to raise their hand and talk to you when they're ready to buy or sell? So that's what the CRM is designed to do. So once they raise their hand and they say,
so you don't replace that. Like, I want to be very clear for everybody listening right now.
So that's for your leads.
We love Wise Agent. There's a million other ones that are out there. You're not replacing the CRM.
Right. So that's like the leads, and we don't touch leads at Mosaik. So we pick up where a CRM leaves off. And so what typically happens today is you use your CRM, you convert that lead, and then they say, hey, Byron, I'm ready to sell, or I'm ready to buy. And from there, you're using like a number of different things. So maybe you're setting your client up on an MLS drip campaign. They're still sending you links from Zillow or from Redfin.
Correct.
You're kind of exchanging information back and forth. You get an offer through. You're using an e-signature platform. Maybe you have a system with your brokerage for compliance and transaction management, but you're still emailing your client. They're getting a lender portal if they're financing.
All these different things are going on. Like,
they're getting a title portal, and the majority of the relationship is still happening over email, right? Email and text messages, and a bunch of other tools in between. Some the consumer sees, some the consumer doesn't. And then that transaction closes, and usually what's happening is that client is now going back into your CRM. They're effectively becoming a lead again.
Yeah.
And statistically, that proves itself out because we see how few people end up working with their agent again or referring their agent again. It's like less than 20%.
I'll just jump in real quick.
Yep.
They go back into the CRM. They get tagged as past client. And then they get served drips and action plans as if they were a lead. It's like, we have a relationship.
Yep.
It's a totally backward system.
Which actually works against the relationship.
It totally works
100%, yeah.
Because now you're spamming me. We just did a deal.
Yeah, it was like, I thought we knew each other.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's the inherent difference between like a lead and a client, where a lead, you're trying to get them to trust you.
Correct.
You're trying to get them to work with you. That's a different set of tools. It's a different set of skills. All important, but that's not the same thing that clients expect. A client has already said, I trust you. I'm willing to work with you.
Such a good point.
Now your job, when someone says they trust you, is to deliver on it. It's to provide value. And and value is ultimately just, what is the experience they have with you? What is the outcome they have with you? And is that equal to or better than what they paid?
Yeah.
Because if they feel like their experience and outcome wasn't as good as what they paid you, they didn't get enough value, they're not going to work with you again. So once that like lead turns into a client, that's the name of the game, is value. It's not about touch points anymore, it's about value points. And so that's really where Mosaik comes in. Our whole goal is, how do we create, a platform where agents and clients stay connected through that process, through the entirety. They don't go back into the CRM. They don't become a lead again. They stay a client forever, and you're continuously delivering value. So whether that's buying, transacting, or post-transaction.
And they actually feel like they're getting a personalized experience.
So does that experience, though, happen in Mosaik before the closing of the transaction?
It does, yeah. So in Mosaik,
walk us through what you guys are actually, like, what parts are you touching?
Right.
What are the parts of your system?
Right.
Like, what are the different things you guys do?
And then as you're listening to Sheila rattle these off, you can start crossing off all the logins that you won't need anymore.
So
and by the way, you guys use them, right?
Yeah.
You guys are the #1 team in the state of Connecticut.
Yep.
And you guys actually use them.
and we've made a lot of flows better because of.
We've gotten rid of logins, which is what I said.
And we've made features better with Byron's and his team's feedback and.
Oh, on your end, you mean?
Yeah, on our end,
We made a lot of our life
My point is
better.
that you guys, my son interned with you. You guys are still buying leads and doing the pre-close stuff. And you're converting your use and follow-up boss you're doing. But then you now have, for the client side, you are leveraging.
We believe in the left side of the transaction. Like, we want to continue to acquire market share, and a lot of that's going to come with top of the funnel. But when we look at our business, too, we're big Zillow Flex, we're Realtor MVP, we're running PPC, we're doing all these things. But when you look at the end of the year, hundreds of transactions, it's like, wow, almost 50% are still SOI.
Yeah.
So,
and it could be more.
It could be a lot more.
Yeah, you start looking at the number of dollars you spend, the number of closings, the number of whatever. You're like, wait a second now. And we have a CRM that works awesome. Why is this happening? It's because it's such a great example. CRM's for your leads.
That's right.
Mosaik is for your clients.
And any experience that we did have on the right side was very fragmented, and this has gotten rid of a bunch of different logins.
So tell us what you do. Tell us what Mosaik does. Just walk us through the different processes.
A lead converts out of your CRM. Someone says, I'm ready. Let's say it's a buyer. I'm ready to buy with you. So where Mosaik's going to kick in is at the time of search, actually. So we integrate with the MLS. We pull that in. We use a number of different AI models. And our whole focus on search is, how do we make it more personalized for the buyer? So if a buyer is getting the same information from you about a property that they can get on their own from Zillow or Redfin or any of these public portals, that's how this perception of door openers, or I could just find a house on my own, that's where it continues. And there was an interesting stat that came out from NAR not too long ago, or maybe it's been a few months, I don't know. My perception of time is changing. But it was like 50% of buyers say that the most important thing their agent could do for them is help them find the right home. And I think we as an industry have neglected.
I think it was 53.
Was it 53? Thank you, Byron. I appreciate that.
Of course, he has to correct you.
I think it was 52.7.
It was 0.9.
52.78, I believe it was.
I appreciate you keeping me honest. But it's funny because I have heard from many agents in the industry, I think there's this like resignation a lot of the times in the industry that the buyer's going to find their own house and my job begins after, because we're so used to them just going on public portals and that sort of thing. And I think we're leaving a huge opportunity on the table, because
I'm going to find something. Go
that right home, that keyword right, like that's what they're paying for. They're paying for the expertise to make sure they don't make a massive financial mistake or a massive, lifestyle or emotional mistake. Like there's nothing that really has as significant of an impact on your life as like the home that you live in. And so from a search perspective, our whole focus is how do we elevate that so that the agent is providing the most advanced search experience they can to the client. So that comes with
something better that's unique to working with that agent.
Exactly.
And Sheila's only rattled off one thing they do. We're like stuck on search right now, and she's going to give the whole list, but this is relevant to search. I had our ISAs, which Grayson got to work with the ISA team, pull some of the most egregious things that our agents were saying to a client. And we did this whole thing on it, like, hey, this came up this many times in follow-up on these leads that are in the CRM. And to your point, bringing up that NAR stat that, over 50% of buyers said the number one thing I want my buyer agent is to actually be active in the process of finding the home. I want you to be an agent. Go out there and do the work. Find a home. These are some of the things, like some of the bad things our agents were saying. I wanted to check in and see if there were any properties you wanted to take a look at.
Oh, putting an onus on them.
You wanted to, are there any properties? Have you done my job for me? Jared, have you done my job for me? Identified the property that you'll give me the opportunity to open the door. It's like if you were building a home,
just let me
Linda,
know.
and you were like, the builder reached out to you and you're like, oh, I got a update from my builder. And they said, hey, Linda, we are about to start pouring the foundation. I was just wondering, have you found any cement for us? Like, is there any cement available so we can actually get started on pouring the foundation? It's like you're saying, instead of reaching out and saying, or having a platform that's reaching out and saying, here's a property and unique aspects about the property that you're not going to find on the 20 MLS strips that you're on.
So agents are essentially like just pawning that off to these other companies. They're letting them go search on Zillow, search on these places, then getting mad at Zillow and other places for stealing their clients.
That's what's
and then saying
allowed.
crap
And it's
like
like,
that.
why don't you give them a better
And
experience, but bring them into your funnel,
We've-
like bring them into your world.
We've got great agents. We're doing a ton of deals, and still human nature is to fall back and do follow-up that's crappy like that, and everybody's got to break that habit.
All right, so because we have a soccer game to go to.
Yes.
So
rattle off the list.
Right.
But just so everybody knows, we're going to talk about the things, and then I also want to talk about your event you have coming up. But for everybody who's listening, when we go through these different items, if they go to mosaik.io, mosaik.io, they can set up a console. They can watch a demo. I think there's demos on there. They can actually just watch and see what everything is, how it works, what it looks like, ask questions, the whole thing.
Right.
But the main thing I want to make sure they understand is like, look, you got your CRM. That's for your leads. This is about doing the things that I actually teach, which is the right side of the transaction. That is what makes you completely undisruptible moving forward because of the relationship that you have with these people. Did you want to say something?
I was just going to say, not every agent even buys leads. So there's a lot of agents thinking right now, like, all I do is right side of the transaction. So this makes you that much better.
Well, I would say, like, with that kind of you're correct. To me, it's not only people who are dealing with their leads.
Yeah.
I'm saying any leads. Like anybody who you're just going after is a lead. But
True.
But at the same time, it's not about whether the majority of your business is coming from right side right now, or it's coming from referral, or it's coming from whatever. It's how much more are we leaving on the table? That we're not even aware of.
And that's really, like, when you look at some other industries where some of the, attorneys, physicians, once for a lot of them, once you get past like your first couple years of building up your practice, how many times have you called a physician and they're like, my practice is full, or 6-month wait time,
exactly
take it or leave it.
Not taking new
Because
patients.
Every doctor in Naples.
Because like their business is generating business for them to the point where they're able to say, I don't need any more business.
That's right.
They don't have to keep chasing. And even, physicians and attorneys in the beginning, they usually do. If you're just starting out, you're building a practice, you have to go out and you have to get patients, you have to get clients, which is not dissimilar to the real estate industry. I think the difference is that we keep chasing.
That's the stack you want to experience, not the tech stack. You want the clients to stack.
Tech's just a way of getting there, one of the tools to get there. But
okay, so you've got, and that's so interesting that you came from that perspective, and that's why when you looked at real estate, you're like, how come we're not doing that? And so, like I said, you get rid of the tech stack and you go to the client stack.
Yep.
It's like that's what your tech should be doing. It should be stacking your clients, not giving you more logins. So here you are. You've got your search.
Yep. So on the search side, what we're trying to do is just personalize it, right? So instead of asking a client, hey, is there a property that interests you? Mosaik helps put out, here's this listing that just hit the market. The 3 things you said were important to you. You want a home office, a pool, 15-minute drive to work. This is what the property doesn't have.
Gotcha. So it actually tells them that.
Exactly.
Okay.
So tease it up so that the agent and the client can have the deeper conversations.
Very cool.
Clients getting a more personalized experience, which is what they expect.
Yep.
Right, in the world of Spotify, personalized playlists, Netflix suggestions, clients want personalization.
You guys look at the software that we use in the rest of the world and go, why aren't we using this for?
Right, exactly. I mean, what's more personal than home, right?
Yeah,
so
100%.
So that's really where we kick in on the search side. Let's say, find a home, put in an offer. We bring in different things like e-signature and that sort of thing as well. But on the transaction side, where we really focus is on automation and collaboration. So everything that needs to happen on a transaction, let's say there's 15, 20 things. The system can be templated for each agent, so market specific, business specific, fires the task. Hey, this buyer just went under contract. Here's what needs to happen today. Here's what needs to happen 2 days from now, 3 days from now. All in service of the client experience as well, because the more confident that the client is that things are being handled, the more value that they see. I actually know someone who, I think we may have been talking about this a few weeks ago, who worked with an agent, great experience. Couple weeks after closing, get an email. Hey, we need you to sign this form. Sorry, we forgot to get your signature on it. Probably not anything consequential because the property had already closed. Something that just maybe came up on like a brokerage compliance check. That person shared with me that they're never going to work with that agent again because the perception was if this was missed, what else was missed?
That's right.
Like what else was left on the table? So we focus a lot on the automation and the guardrails and that sort of thing on that side to make sure that everything's happening for the agent. And then the client is able to come in and see some of that. So you invite the client.
Could see the timeline of everything as
exactly.
well? So do they have their own portal?
They do, yeah. So the whole time they have a Mosaik account, starting with search on the buy side, starting with listing agreement on the sell side. And then once you're working through the transaction, everything that the agent wants them to see, so all the key dates, things that the client needs to do
on
is
a
visible
look
to them.
forward. So it's like that's what the thing is. They want to see
exactly what's
forward.
going to happen next. You hear that a lot when you do like consumer research is I didn't know what was going to happen next until like the day before or until I got an email from my agent. So, it's really tapping into that desire for transparency that people have when they're going through a stressful situation, big financial decision, but also what they expect because if you've got a financial advisor, you can still log in anytime usually and see where your stock portfolio is tracking.
Yeah. Right.
You can log in and see your lab results. You can log in and see where your Amazon package is. Everything from these major parts of your life to, a random impulse purchase, you have transparency. People expect that when we're talking about something as big as this type of transaction. And it just makes the agent, I think, that much more powerful in the consumer's eyes because if you're an expert, why not be transparent?
Right.
What is there to hide if you're really great at your job?
Yeah.
So it just kind of solidifies that in a consumer's mind, even if they never log in, the option to be able to.
The fact that they can do it.
Exactly.
That's why I was saying when they've got their app, they can turn on notifications, turn off notifications. They can log in and see what you were doing last night with whatever. Like it's all there for them.
Yeah, and there's
still
some privacy built in too. If there's back office operations and stuff, that's not necessarily broadcasted to the client. We kind of have towed a fine line there between what is it that the client wants to see versus what does the agent maybe need a little bit of privacy to be able to work from. So it kind of gives everyone the ability to work from one place, one source of truth that's controlled by the agent, as opposed to a bunch of different email threads and the client bouncing between other portals. And then once that transaction closes, the goal is that the client still never leaves Mosaik. They keep the app. They have the ability to come in post-transaction and see, who are vendors that my agent recommends. So I need to.
Oh, you know what? I forgot about that. Like, because we teach the Core 100. You have an actual portion that will actually have a directory list, and it'll keep track of who's clicking on what, who's requesting, what's happening,
and connect the parties together.
Request quotes right from within the app. So if I, need to, or like
talk about being the source. Like it's all happening within what they're going to think is your app, even though it's Mosaik's app, but it's connected to you.
Yeah, it's just a way to keep delivering that value, right? Going back to clients want value, right? Leads want touches, clients want value. And so there's always something going on at home. There's always some, doorknob that needs to be replaced or some window that's leaking or whatever it might be. So that's just that opportunity for the agent to stay in front of them. We also track a number of other things too. Because we have that transaction data, because we have the MLS data, we can automate stuff like this property down the street from you just sold for X. Do you want me to do an updated
So you're
CMA?
giving them info post-close.
Exactly.
That is relevant to them, that is kind of like their real estate porn, where they're just like,
Right.
I want to know what's going on, and I want to know that's relevant to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and this is something people can do manually too. Just off of a client's close date, you can estimate when their home insurance is going to renew. Like Byron and I live in Florida, and pretty like every time my home insurance renews, it's like a gut punch.
Yeah.
So like a reminder before it happens of, hey, maybe I should shop around before I get the surprise bill. Like those are all different things.
So that stuff's all built in where it's letting them know, like things even as simple as that. Like, hey, renewal's coming up on whatever. We need to start looking at what's, so
all
your
automated.
value to them is beyond just get you to a close. It's beyond that now. I'm still working for you. I am still here for you.
And think about this, Jared, the agents that are like, I never know what to say when I call, though, like when it's been a year, 2 years later.
That's right.
When you see the notification that they've now seen, you can now actually call and say, hey, you probably saw it, but I just want to be that extra reminder level that it's coming up, and I can help connect you with a couple different options if you need.
So you're the source for everything.
I think a lot of times where it gets tricky of like, how do you have those conversations with past clients or whatever it may be, is because you don't want to seem salesy. You don't want to seem like you're reaching out just for another deal or for business. You don't want the client to perceive that. But if you just never lose touch, if you are constantly just being their source
Even
for
just
real
little
estate
things.
stuff, those little things, even if it's just a few times
Added
a year.
10 new vendors to the list.
Yep. Here's
Just
the
didn't know
new
if you saw that.
handyman if you need something.
I love that kind of a thing. Yeah. Hey guys, I want to talk to you about an amazing real estate tool right now called Mosaik. You know, if you want to take your people off of the portals where they're all hanging out and whatever and into your ecosystem, this is the tool that does that. You know, this is a beginning to end, not a CR, it's not another CRM, it doesn't replace that, but it's a beginning to end system that really looks at the lifetime value of your client and looks at every part of that process and takes care of all of it in a way that's completely transparent. So yes, they've got search, they've got transaction coordination, they've got, even for us, when we do things like we teach our students the Core 100, they've got the ability to put those people in there, track what's happening, do all of that in an amazing way. But probably the thing that I love about this more than anything is the transparency. You know, in an industry that keeps talking about transparency, and usually when you hear something over and over again, it means that it's not being done at all. This is actually a transparent tool. This is the first tool that I've seen that actually brings the consumer into the transaction. And I think that is the next level of where we are going within this industry. You know, you hear from so many buyers and sellers that, oh, my agent didn't do anything, or I feel like they're not, and there's not this communication going on. This is the first tool I've seen, almost like the early days of .loop where you had that collaboration, but it was just for the document and the signature. They can do that with the transaction now, not only with the clients, but with the vendors, whoever it is, in an amazing way where they can see every step of what's going on. You can write notes to them back and forth. They can see every part of the paperwork and everything and the way that you decide to show it. It's really the next level of what we need to be doing from a consumer experience perspective so they know what's happening, and more importantly, we drive that lifetime value back to you. So if you haven't yet, guys, this is a tool you're going to hear over and over again. You're going to hear me talk about it because, I really think it's my role to not just, define what the problems or solutions are, but provide the tools that will actually get you there. And while so many tools right now are just check the box and just say you have them, this is one yourself, your team, your brokerage. If you're not on it yet, you need to be. This is not the last you're going to hear about this. They're going to grow astronomically, and this is something you need to get on board with if you're going to operate. If you're going to be one of those people that really overcomes and is that top producer in your area, you've got to have the right tools in place, and Mosaik is one of those right now. So do yourself a favor. Go check out mosaik.io, mosaik.io. Again, mosaik.io. You won't regret it, guys. Send us questions if you do, but this is one of those ones that you're going to look back on and remember, amazing tool. Yeah, when you add people, new what we call Core 100 relationships. Hey, I don't know if you're going to need some or whatever. We just added people to this, but it's not salesy. It's not whatever. If they need something real estate related, they're going to come to you. But it's the fact that I am here for you from now on, and the expectation that you can create up front when you work with them. Hey, this is how this is going to work. Yeah. This is not like a normal realtor that you work with. You're going to get this app, and then you're going to have value beyond.
Well, we have agents that we... Oh, sorry.
You're reminding them that they are a client.
Yeah.
Hey, as one of our valued clients, I'm just letting everybody know that we just added this to the list.
No past clients. That's a client you're working with now and forever.
Right.
I would say two things that we've started working with our customers on and incorporating into like their buyer guides and their listing guides and stuff is, and two terms that maybe whoever's listening can like run with. continuous care, so continuous care lifetime support. So if you work with me as an agent,
Yeah,
like
I
I'm
love
not
that.
just a transactional. There's two types of agents. There's transactional agents and advisory agents. You know, there's people out there who can help you with just this deal.
Yeah.
I can do that, but that's not all I'm here to do.
Yeah.
I'm here to help you, you know, build your real estate portfolio. I'm here to help you maximize
That's
it.
great. I told you
think of
before, that's the
myself.
word we use, portfolio. I
Yeah.
love that because that's multiple
Exactly.
properties.
That's, I think, something everyone can throw into their, I mean, you have to deliver on it, but I think that's something worth putting into like buyer guides and stuff is portfolio architecture. No real estate decision you make is ever really made in a vacuum, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you buy is going to impact your ability to purchase something else. It's going to impact your ability to pick up and move if you need to. There's so many cascading decisions with something as significant as a real estate purchase. It really should be thought about and advised on in the context of a portfolio, because now this person that you did a deal with is not thinking of you as just this one-time transactional person.
Yeah.
They're thinking of you as, this is my like advisor. This is the person that I go to
It's
for all
almost
my
it's almost
decisions.
like,
I like
hey,
that.
there are two types of agents in this business. There's transactional agents who do this as a job, and jobs come and go, and they might still be doing that job in 3 years. And then there's portfolio managers, people like me that are continuously with you that do this as a career. And whether it's now or 30 years from now, this is what I do.
Right.
you
This
know?
totally removes any issue with like, am I going to get that buyer rep signed? Like,
Yeah.
they're your client.
That's
You're
right.
never even going to, the signatures of like, oh my gosh, I hope they sign this and I got to
Yeah.
explain this contract. That's been removed.
Yeah.
They're your client. They're in.
And
This
here's
is
the
it,
thing,
yeah.
like there's services that are commodities, and then
Yeah.
there's like experts, right? In any industry.
Yeah.
Even if you think about healthcare, if you could hop on a telehealth app right now and probably get a prescription for something, you have no real relationship with that physician. You might not even remember their name afterwards. You probably have no loyalty to that app. You're probably not going to go see that person if you need major surgery.
That's right.
Or if you have a serious concern. You're going to go see the doctor that you know and trust.
Yeah.
And so there's, you know, there's experts and then there's like commodity type services. And there'll always be those agents like we were talking about earlier that are in those race to the bottom providing that commoditized like door opening, whatever it might be. And there'll always be people who want that.
Yeah.
That's what they want to pay for. But most people, I mean, the reason that we still see like the utilization of agents, that rate go up and up despite however much tech is being, you know, out there in the world, created out there in the world. It's because people want experts when they're
Yeah.
making big life decisions. That you see that in the legal field, you see that in financial, you see that in medical, and it applies in real estate as well. I think more than ever, because now homeownership is
right.
becoming harder. It's becoming less accessible. It's becoming more complex. There's this like massive need for a really good expert.
Yeah.
And so I think if you can position and articulate yourself as an expert, tech just being a small part of that, then you command premiums as well, because
Yeah.
people pay, like, why do people pay $800 an hour for some attorneys?
And more importantly,
Same as expert.
it's like loss aversion. When you communicate this to the clients, they don't want to not
Yeah.
have it. You know, they want to, like, if I don't have you, I don't have that. They talk
Yeah.
to another agent. And like you've talked about limiting this in different markets.
Right.
It's like, we're not giving this to everybody. We're going to give it to the people who we want to be the top
To the
people in
experts,
this
yeah.
area. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
where do people, if people want to learn more, if they want to get a demo or they want to watch a demo, because you have an
Yeah.
actual demo you can
Yeah,
watch.
yeah, we have a demo that they can watch anytime on the website, and then there's like within the demo they can ask questions, they can reach out. I monitor all of that myself as well. But our website, like Mosaik.io, so Mosaik, I had to think about that, make sure I don't
.io.
spell it on a podcast.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. .io. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you all can see who's listening right now, guys. Go watch the demo. Like this is the next level. You're gonna hear me pushing this because I believe in it. Like my everything I do in this world is about making you guys better and helping you guys, and and part of that is having the right tools. And this is the next step in our industry, is focusing on the right side, not just hearing me talk about it for the last 10 years, but now the technology is there. So thank you for that.
That's really cool. I have so many questions for the car.
That you're going to ask
Yes.
over dinner,
Yes.
because we have
dinner
a game to get
questions.
to. But before we
I
do
know.
that, I don't want to end without saying, because you have an event coming up. You not only run the number one team in the state of Connecticut.
You already booked.
I know, guys. I will not be there. I would love to have been there, but yeah, I am going to be. Do you know where I'm at the night before? The Schubert Theater in New Haven.
Oh, that's right.
And then I fly to DC. I'm doing an event in New Haven,
Yeah.
but I won't be there. But that doesn't mean it isn't amazing.
I'll
One
be
day
there.
event.
Linda will be
You
there.
will not be there.
Don't even worry about it.
Oh my
Linda will be
God.
there.
Okay?
I'm
What
flying
is
her in
happening
first
right
class.
Are you gonna be
now?
there?
Okay.
I'm gonna be there.
I'll be
We're
there.
actually,
Will be there.
Actually, I could be there. It's 45 minutes from California.
Good.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
you should
All
All right, this is
You know what?
backfiring.
We'll have you.
This
And
is
I have no
backfiring.
plans because I'm not invited to where you're going.
You're
Yeah.
always invited.
I'll go.
Okay.
We'll have you.
Okay. Can I get
Yes.
this out
I'll be
here?
there.
Okay. I need to get to my son's game.
Sorry.
So it's called
Sheila's
BamMania.
100% gonna be there. Yes.
BamMania. It's October 18th.
It's October. Well, 17th is sold out. That's the VIP experience.
That's
And October
Thursday.
18th is
And
the main
how do
event.
people get
Friday.
tickets?
BamMania.com.
BamMania.com, and you guys
Vince
will be
has not
talking about
sued
what?
us yet.
What's that?
Vince hasn't sued us. for
Oh
going
God, there you go.
BamMania.
I just got that.
So
I got that. I'm not sure anybody else
BamMania.com.
did,
Vince
but yeah.
McMahon, you know.
Yep.
Heard that documentary they're doing on him is
I've
ridiculous.
heard it
and
is
I haven't-
too.
You've seen it?
Well, he's a big
Okay.
wrestling guy.
I am too,
He
so
is
we'll
a
have to chat
huge
later.
wrestling guy.
But I just hear it's insane. We did get a cease and desist from Coachella on another event we did. But anyways, BamMania.com is where you can get your main event ticket for
What are you guys gonna be
Friday,
talking
October
about?
18th. It's like State of the Union, so everything converging. I'm really
Sales,
some of the things I'm
social,
looking
State
most
of the-
forward
yeah.
to. Sharon, you know how I feel about Sharon. Obviously, Sharon's gonna do
President of Real.
President of Real. He'll do a keynote. I'll do a fireside with him as well. But I'm gonna do a fireside with Rob Hahn.
Okay. That'll be
Just
interesting.
about the all the drama and everything that's going on. He lives in Vegas, so
Yep.
it was easy for him to make the time to come over and do that. But he takes a real legal approach. So some of the changes, what you should be forgetting about, what you should know about, what you should move forward with on that conversation. Eric's got a ton of great.
Eric Simon from
Eric
the Broke
Simon,
Agent.
He's got a ton of great marketing content planned for you, building your
So
brand.
it's simple. It's a
social
one
media
day.
stuff. It's a one day.
If I know you
deal.
guys are going to end with a party.
We're beginning and ending. So
Beginning and
We have a
ending.
Thursday and a Friday. So you're gonna, even if you're just coming for the one day, you'll be able to come to the Thursday Legacy Club at Circa, and then we're doing Stadium Swim at Circa Friday to end it all. So
Bring your swimsuit.
could. Have you seen Stadium
bathing
Swim?
suit
It's
optional?
Not.
It's got the largest outdoor
I have seen this.
screen.
I wanted to take
Yes,
you there
did,
for
you did.
Super
Yeah.
Bowl.
You did.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it is bathing
And
suit
it
optional?
has
bathing
like
suit
the,
optional.
Clothing optional?
I mean, I'll be wearing clothes.
Okay, good.
I'll be
No,
wearing clothes.
Good.
that is
Good.
that's
That's
where
how
we
you
need to
draw
go
people
for
in.
Super
You
Bowl.
tell them you're going to be wearing.
You're the only guy that ever got me to dress up for an event at your
We kind of forced you.
kind of forced.
Dressed up for what
At
event?
your neon
you're-
party at the
Eric-
advance.
Oh, how much fun was
No,
that?
Grayson's like,
at the
I
10th
have an
anniversary
extra
party.
That was
shirt.
my son dressed you. You wore his clothes.
That's true.
Okay.
And everybody had
Let's
that
be honest.
shirt.
We're talking
But
about
I
the
am-
underpants. No.
I am always a firm no. Like everybody dressed up
How
for
much
this.
fun did we have, though?
It was a good time.
That was a blast.
Although you guys did leave early.
Let's be honest. You guys didn't have the real fun.
Can you already get tickets to the advance right now?
Yes.
All right.
2025
So
advance.
I already had to block it off. I'm like, oh, it's right back in
September
Orlando.
18th and
Oh, you're a
19th,
good
guys. Yeah,
friend.
September
I'm gonna
18th
have
and
to-
19th.
I'm gonna have to go again.
September 18th and 19th. She's planning the next party, but let's not get off there. October 18th. You said
Yeah.
BamMania.com.
BamMania.com. But
guys,
if you want to, actually, if you're like up against the gun here and you're gonna go, email me personally, Byron at nowbam.com.
I was going to ask you guys, how do
And
they
I'll
get a
get
hold of you guys?
I'll get you a special deal on the ticket. If you're coming from this pod, email me from Jared's pod, Byron at nowbam.com.
Byron at nowbam.com.
And
Awesome.
and then Sheila, you could probably find her through the website, right? At Mosaik.
Yeah, well, and it's Sheila, so SHEILA at Mosaik, MOSAIK.io. There's a
Look at
lot
you
of
guys
I's.
just giving out your emails.
Why not?
There's one
Well,
thing you're never going to hear me
if
do.
you
Yeah.
if
Look
you
at
mix
you
up
guys.
the
Just
I's
don't
and
text
the
me.
E's, I have all the variations.
There you
so
go.
you
That's
can find
awesome.
me.
I have
You
all
can
the
find me.
variations. Awesome. Well, guys, so much fun. We're going to have a blast today. We're going to watch my son play soccer, and then we're going to
Eat
go
food.
get some din-din. We're going to have to do this again, guys, because like, we ran out of time, and we're like an hour
We had
45
so many
in.
things right
Yeah.
I have
now.
so
This
much
is
to still
really-
talk about.
There was a
This is fun.
lot.
We didn't even hit our list of
I
like
know,
things we
we
want to
didn't.
talk about.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to
Actually,
do it
before
again.
we end too, though, Mom, it's happy birthday, Mom.
Oh, good call. Good call. She calls me Mom. That's her pet name for me, and it is my birthday.
No.
So that was a little weird.
No.
She's looking at me like I'm
Hold on,
serious.
whose birthday
It's
is
my
it?
mother's
November
birthday.
19th is his.
I thought you were saying
but
it's your birthday.
No,
That's why I
Yeah,
said
that's
she
so
calls
too.
me Mom.
Mother-in-law.
That's what I was like, it's your-
Mother-in-law
It's our pet name,
birthday.
you know. Don't judge.
Your
No, it's my
mom's
mother's
D-Day.
birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. She is 19 for the manyth time.
Yeah.
That's what she tells us, at least.
That's how Jared got into real estate, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's actually very
Thanks,
true.
Mom.
So thank you, Mom. You all should say thank you, Mom.
There you go.
Happy birthday, Mom. We'll end the pod on
Happy
that.
birthday.
Guys, thank you so
I
much for being
know.
on. And
Thank
we're definitely going to
you.
do this again because we have
Definitely.
so much more to talk about. So
I think
peace
it depends
out.
on how good dinner is, and
It's a good
Oh,
point.
We'll see if we
wow.
come
Sheila
back.
with a
And who
little...
pays?
I don't know.
Tom, we can cut that. We can cut that.
Sheila with a
It's,
shot
did
right
we
at
say,
the
was
end.
it
Jared's been talking this
MOSAIC?
place
MOSAIC? Is that how you spell mosaic?
The
Is that right?
unexpected shot at the end, but I like
I
it.
did not expect
I
that.
didn't
Well, you've been
Did
talking
anyone
this place
expect
up.
that?
I don't know. know. We'll see
good.
if it was
Wow.
worth my.
We did talk this.
You know,
place up,
maybe
but
we
it
should
is
extend
restaurant
this
week,
podcast.
okay?
I might get a different side of Sheila
is
right now.
restaurant
This
week.
is God. All right, we're going to be doing another
much
podcast
fun.
after drinks at dinner, and it should be
Why
a
not?
good
We'll
time.
break into here.
All right, guys, we're out. Thanks for being on. We'll see you.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.